to me, the word plastic, you're isolating a group of people. Like, we're already tiny. Like, we're
Yeah.
already a tiny group
Yeah.
of people. No matter where you are in the world or in the diaspora. And so when you call someone just straight up plastic, when you're like, oh, you're plastic, you are basically isolating them from wanting to learn more about the culture. Like, I have talked to friends of mine who are Afakasi or who are all like full-blooded, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't get to learn the culture or anything like that. And they were told that they were plastic, and they were like, well, what's the point in learning? Like, what's the point in trying to learn more about my culture? And to me, that is doing a disservice to our culture. So maybe we can't eradicate the term, but we can definitely set the standard that it's not okay. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously nobody is, we're never gonna get rid of the word fuck, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's like, we're never gonna get rid of that word. But
Yeah.
we all know that if we were to watch a PG-13 movie, it's going to only be in there once. If we're going to watch a
Yeah.
rated R movie, it's free game. So it's
Yeah.
kind of that thing where, like, maybe we won't eradicate it, but we will know it won't come out as easily for some people as it did. Like, I was just sitting at wedding rehearsals, and she was just like, oh, you're plastic, just so casually. It wasn't even like I could possibly offend this person, or I could possibly deter this person from wanting to learn more about the culture. Like, those thoughts
Yeah.
aren't running through people's minds when they think about the term plastic. They're just like, oh, they're plastic. They don't know anything. And so luckily my mom raised a fighter and not somebody that's just going to give up.
Yeah.
But not everybody is going to have that same notion.
Yeah.
So that's just how I feel about it, because it really is damaging. And to me, it's a colonizer term. I mean, you just look at
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the history
Yeah.
of what colonizers have done, which is divide and conquer. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what they want to do. Divide us so much that, like, only one certain number, which it's even smaller, is going to know about the culture, and the rest are just going to not be in the know or not going to
Yeah.
care. Or they'll continue that idea of, like, what's the point? And then they'll send that down to their children, and their children are just going to be like, oh yeah, I am, but who cares? Like, the pride is also going to be gone. So
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. Like, that's it's a colonizer term, and it's a way to keep people divided, because it's easier to control people when they're divided
mhm.
than coming together. All right. What's up, everybody? We are live. We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club podcast, where we share healthy conversations, experiences, applying knowledge, and stories to promote happiness, love, success, and harmonize complete balance and completes the circle of life. Yes, that is a reference to Lion King. I love my Disney movies, but I'm very excited today. If you guys watching this for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching for the first time. And if everybody that's been watching, been supporting, been subscribing, thank you for all the positive feedback. Thank you for all the love and the support. It actually inspires me to keep doing this. But like I said, I'm Will. I'm the host of this show, but I'm very excited today. We have a very special guest. One of our Polynesian sisters, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. All right, she is a marketing manager, Pacifica blogger, and a part of the Pacifica CEO. All right, I'll let her say what that means. But I'm very excited for her. I'm very excited for her to be here today. I just want to say to her, thank you so much for this opportunity, for joining me on this show and sharing all that story for all you guys to hear. But I'll let her introduce herself real quick. So it's all you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on today. Really appreciate it. I'm Aynsley Broom. As he said, I'm from Nashville. Let's see. Pacifica CEO, which is connecting entrepreneurs of Oceania, which I love that so much. We're actually having, I'm going to do a shameless plug if that's okay, but we're having a summit April 17th and 18th. So I'm super excited about that. So that's upcoming. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
All the way from Nashville. I think, I don't know what we mentioned earlier, but like I think they're probably the only Polynesian I know so far that lives in Nashville.
There's a few of us, but not many at all.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So thank you so much. I'm ready to start this podcast. I guess the very first question I do want to ask you, Aynsley, I know a lot of people don't know who you are. So can you give a quick synopsis of your life story, your background, how did you grow up, so everybody could kind of find out who you are and and where you come from?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my parents, so my mom is from Samoa, and moved to New Zealand where she met my dad. He's Palangi. His family came to New Zealand by way of like South Africa, Scotland, kind of how we trace our family all the way back on his side. And so, yeah, they moved to the States in the 80s. And so they were first in Texas. And then they went to Kansas where they had my sister and me. And then I grew up in Arkansas, actually, about an hour and a half west of Memphis. So it kind of gives people a pinpoint of where I grew up. Was, we were probably the only Islander family that we knew of that lived in our tiny town, which is about 30,000 people that live there. So everybody knew everybody's business. You go to school. I went to a small private Christian school there, so everybody really knew everybody's business. And so I grew up with about 10 kids since I was like in kindergarten until we graduated. So I played, I played basketball, soccer, did all the sports, but unfortunately I didn't really get to grow up knowing much about like my Samoan heritage, the dances. I don't speak the language. I can work my way through a Siva, but you're gonna have to give me like a good month to practice. And so, yeah, it was a fun childhood. Our family did go through a rough patch probably when I was 16. So that was kind of difficult, but we're like past it now,
Okay.
And so it's kind of like one of those things where you reflect, and especially about 11 years removed from everything, 12 years removed from it all, you're kind of glad you went through that. You hate that the scars that it kind of leaves behind, but it also like does make you a stronger person. And so, we did there was a lot of change that happened, especially when you're 16 and hardship hits, you're very much impacted. And it did change my course of life, I guess you could say, a bit, because I was on course to go to a university that was a lot larger in another town. But instead, what happened was, because of finances and everything and the situation we were in, I had to go to the smaller school that was in Paragould. But on the bright side, when I did go to university or to the smaller college, I got to play basketball for 2 years. So I can now tell my future children I played college ball. Doesn't matter how big it is, but I still play college ball. So if they ever play basketball and question what I have to say, I'll be like, your mother played college ball, so zip it.
Which position did you play?
I was a post. I was kind of
got the post work.
I guess forward. I think forward is probably the better term for it, because I did some what is it called, top of the key work as well. So
what was your favorite post move? What was your like go to your post move go?
So I was more of I know there's not like a defense and an offense, but I was more of a defensive player.
Oh, okay.
Like,
defense. I got you.
I love playing defense. I did foul out quite a bit in high school, but I will deny it. So a few scoreboards have been put out before. So yeah, I did like shooting 3-pointers by the end of my like basketball career. But I did tear my ACL my third game into my second year. Damn. So I was actually having a rough start of the season. And then that third game rolled around, and I was playing amazing. My coach wasn't subbing me out. Like, I was able to stay in, and then I hit a jump stop and my knee kicked out. And I thought maybe I just like sprained my kneecap or sprained something in my knee. But now when I went to the doctor, they're like, nope, you have a torn ACL. Like, you can't really play on that. So that I went through surgery and all that wonderful jazz. And then after my second year, at college. I moved to the university I had planned on going to originally, and finished a year. I did a lot of freshman stuff there, like joining a social club, which is basically a sorority. And then did 21 hours in one semester. And then I graduated in 3 years with a marketing degree. And then the plan for that, because like growing up, my mom was just like, you're gonna get a good education, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna get your master's, and then you're gonna find a good job. And that was the plan. And so I got to stick to the plan. And so that summer I enrolled in my MBA, and got my master's 2 years later in management and ethics. So I got those degrees under the belt. So yeah, and then I started working at my old, I actually started teaching part-time as a math teacher for 7th and 8th graders and a literature teacher for 10th, 11th, 9, 10, and 11th graders. And so that's what I did while I was doing my master's. And the job opportunity came up at my old high school to do like fundraising and kind of like marketing. They didn't know what to give me. They just gave me a job to do. So I was like, okay. So I kind of made up my own job, and hit records for fundraising. I got 2 smart boards to be granted to the school. And then moved on from there a year after my first year, and then worked at a boutique for a few months, which was a super fun experience. I got to hone some photography skills, social media skills, graphic design. I got to be heavily invested in some graphic design work there. And then after that, I moved to work at one of probably right now in my career is probably my favorite job that I've ever been at, which was working for a floral company, that floral company was also, the owners also owned 3 other companies. So basically I worked for 4 companies, but it was a team of us. And so I was doing floral industry, wedding industry, website industry, and wholesale. So all of that. Yeah, all of that. And it was so much fun. I was going to conferences to speak, helping small business owners get websites up, doing the best social media practices, that kind of thing. And then there came a time where my sister kind of needed me in Nashville. And so I quit my job at Fellowship Network, which my job was also kind of like getting to a point where I didn't need to be there either. There's changes happening and it just wasn't meshing well. So like it came at a good opportunity to be like, yeah, I think I'm just going to quit and move to Nashville. So I moved to Nashville, needed a job, got a job. And so now I'm working in insurance as a marketing manager. So, and then probably during the time I was like at Flower Shop Network was where I was at before the job I have now. But that's where I met some amazing people that helped me grow to be the person I am today. Our department, our little marketing department, it was made up of, we had my best friend who is Black American. My other best friend, she's Palangi, but you know, I say she's spicy Palangi, you know, spicy white. And then there was a Latina girl that worked with us. We had 2 gay guys that worked. So our 2 gay guys that worked with us as well, all in this one department. And so you had me, who was a Pacific Islander, and then we had another Palangi creative director, and a Palangi was my manager. So, you know, we had this mix, this amazing like meeting of cultures in one department, ideas and things like that. Because sure, we worked all the time, but we were very much a part of each other's lives. So my friend Shantara, she taught me a lot about African-American history, you know, would send documentaries to watch. My friend Jamie was very much always wanting to learn. So she was always asking questions that I would have never asked and trying to, you know, figure things out. Miroslava, my other friend, she was the Latina, and she had history and knowledge that she would share. So while we were all working, we were also like helping each other grow. And Shantara was the one who always encouraged me to learn more about my Pacifica history, because they would ask me things. I'm like, I don't know. Like I know I'm Samoan, but I can't tell you anything else. And so like I started doing research, and then in 2017 I went to Australia and experienced not just my first Samoan wedding, but my first Samoan funeral. So I got two big like Pacific Islander events happening in 1 week, and it was just kind of like this shock to the system, because I had just been used to like Palangi weddings and funerals, which are very just like chill, kind of boring. And so, yeah, it was just interesting. And that was the first time I had ever been called plastic. And I was just like, okay. But when I told my mother, she got upset. When I told my sister, she was like, that's not okay.
Was that from was that from your own family members?
Well, they were like cousins from the other side of the family.
Gotcha,
so like we were from the dad's side, and those cousins were from the mom's side of my cousin getting married. So yeah. Anyways,
how did you feel when you first heard? How did you feel when you first heard that comment?
I laughed, because you know how like we all are, like we're all like we all, excuse me when I say, we all shit on each other like all the time, and we just laugh at it. And so I was just like, like whatever, whatever. At first I was just like, it's weird, but okay. Like it was just like not a big deal. But it wasn't until I came back, and then, you know, I went a few months later to New Zealand for my other cousin's wedding, which I had one of the best trips ever. And then the following year, went to Samoa. So, I mean, and it was there that we kept hearing like, oh, you're plastic, or we like fake some. And I was just like, I've had enough. And after doing a lot of research and a lot of like thinking about the term plastic, I was just like, this is not okay. And so when I moved to Nashville after that Samoa trip, my friends and I back at Flower Shop Network had always talked about starting a podcast or doing something as a collaborative effort. And so I had 3 weeks before my job started to just like kind of think about it. But I never started it until like a weekend in August or September. I can't remember what it was, but I was just like hanging at the house thinking about it. And I like messaged my friends from back at home, and I was like, what do you guys think of this? And I was like, I'm sick and tired of being called plastic. I don't know what to do with it. And I don't know where I can put all my feelings in one place or my thoughts in one place to where it actually matters. And I was like, I'm starting a blog, and I'm just going to write about it. And I'm just going to point out reasons why it's not a good term. And try to, I guess my life mission right now, or part of it, is to like eradicate that term from our language. So and so like that's where it all started. And I also talked about like in rugby, the Rugby World Cup was happening during that time as well. And I just noticed how like our Pacific Islander teams always got like, there was that new tackle rule or whatever, the new hit rule. And like, it was always called only called really on Pacific Islander people. And I was like, that's not okay, because like I kept hearing like, oh, they got hit here, and it was a Palangi rugby player, but they would never get called or they would never get in trouble. And I was like, this rule was only made for one reason, and that was because of Pacific Islanders, and they're trying to hinder our ability to play. So I mean, I know there's safety rules that still need to happen, but if you're going to call it on one person, you got to do it on the other. And also like they would always, like the commentators would always comment on our hair. Like I didn't understand that. Like, what does it matter how his hair looks on the field? Talk about his playing. Like you didn't see them talk about like, oh, Chad's hair looks extra spiky today versus the last time he played, like they don't talk about how much product is possibly in his hair that he's playing.
Was it like in a negative connotated tone when they talk about the hair, or was it just like an observation?
It was not negative. It was just that like, if it was a Pacific Islander, they were always saying something about their hair. And I'm just like, what does this have to do with rugby? Nothing. Okay. It was just the thing, like, and it was always Palangi commentators. And then when you looked on the flip side and they would have an Islander commentator in the room with them, they weren't talking about that. They were talking about how they're playing. They would talk where they're maybe like from. Like all the players had an equal level playing field of how they were being narrated on the radio. And so to me, it was just like, it's just that thing of like, especially like for like Black women here in the States, people always talk about their hair in the workplace. Well, what does the hair have to do if she's getting the job done and it's being done well? You know,
so I get, that makes sense.
So, yeah, and so like that's what it bothered me was like, and then they wouldn't take the time to actually say the names correctly. Like if you can say like what someone said as, like if someone on a post was like, if you can say Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, then you can say our Pacific Islander names. So it's things like that.
Gotcha.
But that's just like stuff that I started writing about for the blog and like where my passions were starting to be fueled. And then like through the blog, I was able to be like pushed into other like avenues. I was able to learn more about our Pacific Islander history. I was able to see like different things that were happening that I wasn't even aware of, like living in Arkansas in my predominantly white town, you know? Yeah. And so like, in a way, I guess you could say like, I woke up from my delusion. But yeah, I guess that's kind of like a synopsis of Aynsley.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of a life. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, I do want to talk about something. I do want to talk about your experience, being plastic. I feel like there's a lot of people. That's something I always see a lot, especially with my Hapakasi family members or friends. They will always, and also I've had multiple guests on my show. They were Hapakasi as well, and they would talk about that, right?
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing, by the way, and I love how you blogged about it and talked about it. But I know you mentioned that you want to eradicate that term, right? You want the plastic. But I want to ask you: do you feel like that's possible to? If that's like, do you feel like that's possible to ever eradicate that term? Because I feel like for me, it's just always been in our history. Like we've always found a way to differentiate each other, and for me, like I also believe like you, like I believe we should take away those negative terms. Like plastic. I don't believe that, but I feel like just like people in general are always going to see somebody that's different, and unfortunately, people are going to make up something like that. Even if we eradicate that term, I feel like that term will be replaced by a different term. But that's just me. But that's just me. But you've done a lot of your research. Like, what do you feel like? What do you feel like is like the best way to go about it?
So obviously, like you pointed out, there's a lot of nuances to it all. But I think it's like, to me, the word plastic, you're isolating a group of people. Like we're already tiny. Like we're already a tiny group of people. No matter where you are in the world or in the diaspora. And so when you call someone just straight up plastic, when you're like, oh, you're plastic, you are basically isolating them from wanting to learn more about the culture. Like I have talked to friends of mine who are Afakasi or who are all like full-blooded, whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't get to learn the culture or anything like that. And they were told that they were plastic. And they were like, well, what's the point in learning? Like, what's the point in trying to learn more about my culture? And to me, that is doing a disservice to our culture. So maybe we can't eradicate the term, but we can definitely set the standard that it's not okay. I mean, obviously we're never gonna get rid of the word fuck. Like we're never gonna get rid of that word. But we all know that if we were to watch a PG-13 movie, it's going to only be in there once. If we're going to watch a rated R movie, it's free game. So it's kind of that thing where like, maybe we won't eradicate it, but we will know it won't come out as easily for some people as it did. Like I was just sitting at wedding rehearsals and she was just like, oh, you're plastic, just so casually. It wasn't even like I could possibly offend this person or I could possibly deter this person from wanting to learn more about the culture. Like those thoughts
Yeah.
aren't running through people's minds when they think about the term plastic. They're just like, oh, they're plastic. They don't know anything. And so luckily my mom raised a fighter and not somebody that's just going to give up.
Yeah.
But not everybody is going to have that same notion.
Yeah.
So that's just how I feel about it, because it really is damaging. And to me, it's a colonizer term. I mean, you just look at the history of what colonizers have done, which is divide and conquer. And that's exactly what they want to do. Divide us so much that like only one certain number, which it's even smaller, is going to know about the culture, and the rest are just going to not be in the know or not going to care.
Yeah.
Or they'll continue that idea of like, what's the point? And then they'll send that down to their children, and their children are just going to be like, oh yeah, I am, but who cares? Like the pride is also going to be gone. So
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, like, you know, that's it's a colonizer term, and it's a way to keep people divided, because it's easier to control people when they're divided than coming together. But so I want to ask you, like, do you think we should just take that term out, and then anybody that just use Hapakasi, she's just Hapakasi? Because, you know,
so I'm okay with Afakasi, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I've been told that even Afakasi can be hurtful in some ways, and I see the point in the fact that if you translate it means half caste, or you're half of a person. And if you, and what I'm learning more and more in our history is that Afakasi people, before colonizers, Afakasi people, you were at least in Samoa, you were going to be Samoan. Even if you're half, you're Samoan.
Oh, so okay. So you were just
so it's just like
there was no Hapakasi, you were just Samoan.
Yeah, you're just Samoan. Like it is what it is. But when colonizers came, I guess, and I could be wrong in the thinking, but like they were called Afakasi, but they were seen as Samoan. When colonizers came, I feel like Afakasi took on that whole like blood quantum term. So, and then the colonizers took it a step further, and to where they're like, oh, you're not enough for Europeans. And then the Samoans are like, well, then you're not enough for Samoa. And so it's been this battle, because the colonizers have taken like Afakasi people and literally have been doing this tug of war, because some years you're okay, some years you're not. They would use Afakasis as like pawns. So like in Samoa, they were used to be like, oh, can you try to like get your Samoan family to see our point of view? Luckily, there are two prominent Afakasi people. They were a couple that was like, no, we're going to be they were part of the Mao movement. And they were like, yes, I may be half, but I'm full-heartedly going to be fighting for my Samoan family and friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. Avocasi is just like one of those terms that I've been okay with.
Yeah.
But I understand why some people aren't, because it just means you're half a person when really you are fully who you are meant to be.
I know. Yeah. So I know that's interesting, because a lot of people, a lot of people don't realize, especially like the full-blooded Polynesians, I know sometimes they say that term, just say like casually, but they don't realize like the, I guess, implication or it has on someone mentally, because I feel like, also just to put it out there, I feel like a lot of people lack perspective to understand that, some kids just don't pick where they're born.
Like me, if I was to choose, it would not have been Kansas, United States. So
right. And also, because that's something like for me, I'm all about unity. I do believe in unity, and then just compassion and understanding. And we should. It doesn't matter what the percentage is. If you have 1% of Polynesian, you're Polynesian to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%.
Yeah, right. We still, go ahead.
Oh no, go. Sorry.
No, yeah. Okay, because it doesn't. For me, it just doesn't make sense. When do you feel like that belief that we have, that's just from like the generations of the ideologies of colonization have passed on from generation after generation?
Absolutely. I mean, you just look at colorism within our community.
Yeah.
Like I still remember growing up and being told that like, and I didn't believe it because I was just like, this sounds stupid and weird. But I was told like I had more value as an Afakasi, and
Yeah.
that's just because I had European blood. Like, but it was me as a European Afakasi, because if you took the flip side and are like black families that are Afakasi and black, like they're
Hmm.
Samoan and black, they don't get that same like same like feelings towards each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. And you even look at like our skin tones too. Lighter skinned Polynesians sometimes have more privilege than darker skinned Polynesians. And so it, but at the same time, on the flip end of all that stuff too, I mean, I'm obviously white presenting, and like I get made fun of for my whiteness. And so it's just like there's so much colonization in all of it, like all the layers, that it's just like, my God. So yeah. And I mean, my mom has even talked about it with not even realizing what she's talking about. Like she's
Yeah.
older generation, and she's looked at her white friend before and was like, oh no, we always wanted your skin. Because my mom's friend was like, you have such pretty skin. And my
Hmm.
mom was like, we always wanted your skin. And I was like, she is so pale, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like this whole like idea that colonization has brought to our islands. And it kind of started during like back in the 1800s, but I'm reading a book about World War II and how all of that, like the Southern ideology from the States, because of Jim Crow laws and all of those
Yeah.
things were embedded into the Pacific Islands. Even in like Samoa, there was a section of that book that talks about how African Americans weren't allowed to come to the islands,
Hmm.
like even though they were in the army. And so, and if they were, they were told they were not allowed to be with any of the women, but the white Americans could.
Hmm.
So it's just like colonization has such a hold on our community that we've got to decolonize our minds.
Yeah. I want to ask you. I just thought of this, but do you feel like the term plastic, does it refer to somebody that is, if does it more refer to somebody that's half Polynesian, half white, or does it more apply to somebody that acts white? Because
It's more to somebody that acts white.
yeah, because I remember growing up that I had some friends that didn't speak they just didn't speak Tongan.
Mm-hmm.
But their family was, their parents was full Tongan. They're very traditional. They knew everything, but
Mm-hmm.
the only thing they didn't know was the language. But I remember I never heard anybody calling them plastic. So I feel like it's not even about the lack of knowledge of the culture, or of it's just acting like a white person.
Yeah. And the times that I've encountered it, it's not knowing the language. I have had friends that have been told that when they speak, they sound proper or they sound white
Yeah.
or something like that. There's that backhanded compliment. But it's just like, I don't know.
Is that colonization? Do you feel like that? It's sad. For me, it's kind of sad to today that if any Polynesian that speaks proper, we automatically associate that with white people.
Yeah.
I mean, I speak proper, but doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
All right, doesn't mean, of course, if I do have a little accent, good day, mate, what's up, y'all? Okay, I get that. If I try to talk like a white person, yeah, like the accent. But
Yeah.
but if I talk like my normal self, I just have pretty good vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
right? Does that mean I'm plastic? So yeah, I just want to bring that up, because like people have associated being a proper, like talking proper, having good going to school, go to education. And this has nothing to do about whiteness. It's just going to school and getting and
Yeah.
educating yourself, but they just immediately just kind of like, oh yeah, you're white because you talk proper. Do you feel like that comes from insecurity? Like people just being insecure, or I don't know. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I think it's from insecurity. Part of it's insecurity, but I think it's also part of colonization. Again, because colonizers have told our people that we are uneducated, that we are not going places. I've never had to experience that, but I've heard stories about it. I've heard multiple people say like, oh, I've had a teacher tell me I'm not going to be worth amount to anything. I've had teachers tell me, oh, you're just gonna they've said, I've had teachers tell me that they're just going to grow up and get pregnant, or it's just these things that like are perpetrating this systematic racism. And so it pushes our people to the idea that we can't get an education, that we aren't smart, that we aren't innovators, that we aren't mathematicians or scientists, lawyers, doctors, blah blah blah. And I'm not saying that that's what we have to do to show success. I'm just saying, like, if you want to do it, just do it. Like, and to me, I'm also like, don't listen to them, because honestly, their ancestors couldn't make it around the globe, yet our ancestors could. So who's the dumb one now? So that's what I'm thinking, like our ancestors knew how to go from Tonga to Samoa to Aotearoa, like they were able to navigate between the islands without getting lost.
Without any like tools, like compasses or like just the stars.
And so like to say like being smart is a white person thing is so wrong, because being smart is an islander thing.
Because for me, when I meet a very articulate, educated Polynesian, it just means they're articulate, educated Polynesian. I don't mean whiteness doesn't even like come. Well, I don't even think if I like you, you talk, you're very articulate. I like the way you talk, but I don't even think you're white. You're just normal to me because.
And it's just like that. I think what it is they're told, oh, you're so articulate for a Polynesian, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean?
What exactly? What does that mean?
What does that mean? You just feel like, I'm like, well, then you just turn around, I think, and just be like, well, you're very articulate for a white person.
Well, I don't think people realize when you say that, oh, you're very articulate for Polynesian. What does that mean what does that mean to be a Polynesian? Like to be unarticulate, to be uneducated? Like I don't know. They realize when they say that. Like when people say that, you're very articulate for Polynesian, you're very smart for Polynesian. And what am I supposed to be dumb?
Right? No.
It's that it's that way of thinking it's that way of thinking. I feel like that hurts us as Polynesians and why we can't grow. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And it just like, you can be like, it's okay if you want to like do like a technical job. Like if you want to go to tech school and you want to learn how to do electricity or plumbing, like those jobs are needed. Like I teach marketing at a college, so I'm an adjunct professor. Some of those students, they need to go to tech school because their talents are like doing electricity. And it doesn't mean that you're not smart. It doesn't mean that you're uneducated. It just means that university or college is not for you. You're getting your education in an apprenticeship. Going to university or college is just a step. It's just training for a job. It doesn't mean you're smart or dumb. So, I think the notion, and it's not just a Polynesian thing, that notion that you have to go to college is a American idea that just needs to be done away with in a way, just because I've met smarter. I've had a conversation with a guy who set up my mirror exercise thing here. We had a very intellectual conversation about religion and about culture. And he wasn't just like coming in a suit and tie. And he's a very smart man. And I would say he could give a TED talk if he wanted to. So I think like the idea that you need a piece of paper to say whether or not you're smart is the dumbest thing ever.
It's just kind of sad, that when we ever, as people, it doesn't matter what culture you are, whenever you think about being better, we automatically think that that's what being white is. When in reality, it's like, it doesn't matter who you are as individuals. We all can be better. I don't care what your color of your skin is, or what culture you come from. Like
Mhm.
as human beings, we all have the same, we all come from God, and we all have the same ability to do better. It has nothing to do with what color your skin is, but it's just sad that the white man has done a great job to put that ideology through the process of colonization.
Yeah.
And it's oh, that's pretty. I mean, yeah, and that's sad. That's sad that people. I feel like we definitely need more education on that.
Hmm. No,
And
absolutely.
go ahead.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I
No, I
just
just
agree.
I definitely we need more education on that, because that's something I've always wondered. Like for myself, I was always wondering, like, how come as Polynesians, like, how was we always trying to put each other down? Um, but then I realized, but yeah, you just brought it up today. The colonization, they implanted that seed. Man, those are terrible people. And now
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about, oh wow, like that's some terrible people, because even like 100 years later, we're still that ideology has passed on, and we're still putting each other down and never believing that we can be greater.
Hmm.
And if you do want to be great, then we have to credit it to white people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, you know, the thing is that we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk
Yeah,
about how much colonization has done to our community. And I mean, I know there are a ton of people that are just like, I'm so tired of talking about that. Like, I'm tired. And I'm like,
yeah,
I get it. And I understand. And it is tough. Um, to me, I could talk about it all day. My sister has always been like, I wonder how many times out of the day you think about this. And I was like, if I told you, it would exhaust you. But it's just
yeah,
like, there are just so many connections that if you just like, at least for me, when I look at Samoa, you just go back to when the US, Germany, and Britain landed, 1800 something. Robert Louis Stevenson wrote a book about it, but wrote about the Samoan civil wars. Those were perpetrated by white people.
yeah,
Yes, our chiefs did get mad at each other, and yes, they were fighting over land, but who continued it? The white people. They were feeling sides. Then you move it forward and you jump forward to during like the influenza pandemic when Germany was in control. It just like it keeps going on and on. And until we like wipe from our minds this like colonizer ideology, especially in the diaspora, it's just going to be us always putting each other down. And especially like people wanting to climb up, we can't keep pulling people down from their mountains. So,
man. So what's the solution? What do you feel like is the solution? Have you ever thought about that? Like, what can we do to kind of like eliminate that ideology and create a new generation free from that, from that shackle?
well, one of the ways is having conversations like this,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like my mindset wasn't this way. Like I did not just like wake up one day and be like, "Oh man, colonizers just suck." No,
Yeah.
like I had to do the work. Like it took my friends, like I said, it took Shantara at my job saying, "Look at this." It took, seeing the news that was happening um, here in the States during
Mm-hmm.
like all the shootings that happened, all the police brutality,
Mm-hmm.
and then diving into like African American history, um, and then trying to reflect it back to like, learning. I think part of it's learning our history, part of it's talking like this. I think a big part is, going back, I think the big part would be learning our history and
Yeah.
being taught by our people, not having the white man tell our history, but having our stories told by our people
And not using their books, right?
and not using their books because, you know, I didn't know about blackbirding until last year.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. I barely even knew about the true Hawaiian history till probably 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about, the Mao movement. I didn't know about, like, there's just a lot of things. Obviously, I'm not going to learn about the Mao movement or Polynesian Panthers because those aren't in the United States. But the least they could do is not tell lies about Hawaii,
Yeah.
you know. So
What
there's
are those lies? What's the lies that you referred?
that Hawaiians voted to be a state, that Hawaiians wanted to be part of the United States.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The covering up of the illegal annexation of Queen Liliuokalani, just that whole ordeal. The fact that they actually shipped people in to the state to vote they didn't have Native Hawaiians or Kanaka Maoli just be the ones to vote. They shipped people in from the continent. That, there's just a whole timeline that they don't tell you.
Wow.
They just are like in 1950s or 1960 something, and they say
Became
Hawaii
became became the state.
became a
Yeah.
state, and that's it. That's all you
On
know.
the own free will.
Yep. There was no like erasure of the language or culture. They wanted to become part of the United States, which is
Yeah.
a lot of, and also the fact that people are like, even our own people. Like, I recently had a conversation with somebody that was like, "Oh, it happened hundreds of years ago." No, voting happened in 1950 or 1960 something.
Yeah.
If you're going to use that logic, then you might as well tell the African Americans that civil rights movement happened about 100 years ago, and just
Yeah.
be like, "You're good, you're fine, be
Yeah.
grateful for
Yeah.
what you have,"
Yeah.
which is not the case. So when our people say stuff like that, it really just pisses me off, because I'm like, if you're going to use that, then let's turn it around and like look at other
Yeah.
communities that you're going to say that to as well.
Yeah,
So
I feel like there's certain things in life you can't put a statute of limitations on.
no, no, absolutely not.
Racism, racism, oppression, rape, we don't even talk about we just talk about the good stuff, but all like the horrible stuff that happened to the women, the rape, what's that word? Pillage? Is it pillage?
Pillaging.
Pillage.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they didn't just go in there and just like ask them. They have to force them, and by forcing that means they have to like, do whatever they had to do to oppress people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always a side that they never show on textbooks.
Nope.
Remember that guy that was on I remember I did that one clubhouse talk. What was his name? Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was he mentioned some very good points about colonialism.
It's a word. No,
Colonialism, but of how like when white people came to the islands and they of course they pillaged, they raped the women. That was their way of like putting that fear into people and breaking them down mentally, so that way that they know like, okay, we control you. Yeah. And he mentioned how that became part of the Polynesian culture. Like we became like very egocentric, because our parents grew up with that fear and they taught that fear to their kids, and then that fear is just passed on, and that's why even to this day, when I'm talking to a lot of Polynesians, because like I told you before, like we meet a lot of intellectual, beautiful, talented Polynesians, but the one thing that stops them from even trying new things is just they're just afraid. There's just that fear, like that fear that either the parents gonna be disappoint the parents, disappoint the culture, or like you said, be like the white man, be allowing you to be plastic. And I've always wondered to myself, like even for myself, when I started working on my own goals and dreams, I was like, I always wondered like, why aren't more people doing it? But then I realized it's just most people have this fear. And then I asked myself, how come like our culture is always like that? Of course, fear is a natural, human emotion that we all have. Yeah. But I just realized that it happens like to majority of the people. But that's when I found out about colonialism. I didn't know about that. That this is something that was been implanted for generation after generation. And I feel like in this generation, a lot of people. I feel like do you feel like this generation, a lot of people don't care about the history no more? It's like only very few people feel like you and me that might have like some interest of bringing it up. But do you feel like now, like the younger kids being born in 2000s, do you feel like that if we don't tell the history now, like you don't have an opportunity to use a platform to tell that history, do you feel like that's going to be lost in the next generation?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're talking about like just the states in general, like the Pacifica kids that grow up here in the States, I think part of it is we don't have the resources.
Yeah.
We don't have like I've done so much digging. And I like even here in Nashville, it's just like the amount of stuff that I've been able to find, I feel very lucky to find it. And I think to make the next I think the next generation does want to learn. they really do want to learn because they've seen how African Americans are able to be liberated through knowledge. You know, they're able to bring points up and bring points of history back to be like when white people or just oppressors in general are like saying things to them or being like, oh, this doesn't really matter. They're able to like bring their history and be like, yes, it does matter. And I think for the kids here, there's not a lot of resources or a lot of written down history of our people for them to really kind of touch them back to. And so like that's been kind of like my mission is like
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanting to like make history available, like even if it's history from like New Zealand or Samoa or wherever. I
Mm-hmm.
want our kids to know about it. And I think being able to put that on social media platforms is one way to teach them because that's where they are. That's
Yeah.
where they, they're all on social media. And so that's what they're going to be doing. So yeah, I think they want to learn. It's just like being able to have those resources to learn.
Yeah. Do you feel like because because a lot of the colonialism happens to all races, right? One thing
Mhm.
I do have a lot of black friends that they're very into like pro-black and about the
Mhm.
black history and making sure they're finding some way they can overcome all the injustice they've gone through right now in America. But I remember I was talking to one of them. He said that one of the things black people did to kind of fight the oppression from white people was like build their own schools,
Yeah.
right? Do you feel like that's? I feel like if that's like a more like a practical solution if Polynesians came together
Yeah.
and built their own schools and had their kids go to their own schools and had their own teachers and had their own curriculum
Mhm.
and teach their kids about their history.
Yeah.
Because
No.
you see that really HBCUs, black people they have HBCUs and colleges where they teach their own
Yeah.
histories. And I went to a HBCU. I went to Hampton University in Virginia for college.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was
Awesome.
pretty cool because like when we went there, when I attended, we of course we still learned the normal college curriculum, but there was
Mhm.
a heavy emphasis on black pride. Like they
Oh
taught
yeah.
their history. They taught their history. So kids that attended that school, especially the black kids, they had this a different kind of pride for being black that I'd never seen
Mhm.
in other places in the world, especially in Cali. And that was kind of cool for me. So I'm just thinking to myself right now as we're having this conversation, like, yeah, like if Polynesians came together or like, successful entrepreneurs or, millionaires of Polynesians. And I'm sure starting a school in the islands, it's not going to take them a lot of money. I mean, because I see people go to Africa and start schools all the time.
Oh yeah.
Celebrities, they come together, put their money together and they fund these schools. You feel like that's a more like a solution if as Polynesians, we can just create our own schools and put these kids and teach our own history
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're already doing that in Utah. I think there's
Oh,
a excuse me, there's a all Polynesian school already in Utah.
oh, that's
It's
cool.
for high schoolers, I believe. But it's like a private, I don't know if it's a private school or something, but I was made aware of it last year. But yeah, I think that's already started in Utah, but I do believe, and I think in Hawaii, there might be a historically Hawaiian school, but I wouldn't know which one it is. But yeah, I think that would be fantastic just because when you're around you're like around other Pacifica people, there's empowerment there. Like
Yeah,
there's just
yeah.
like, and one thing I've said before is like know your history, know yourself. And so it's like when you know your history, you're able to actually dive deeper into who you are and you're able to open up more because I know like growing up, I always felt like I was kind of living this like facade. Like I
Mhm.
wasn't really being me. I had to go through the motions in order to fit in. But anytime I was with other islanders or anytime I was around my family in New Zealand, I felt 100% me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be super cool if that was a thing.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching this documentary about I forgot the famous the lady. So she was very a famous psychiatrist. But she was white, but she worked with but she wanted to end systematic racism. And
Jane something, I think is her name.
Yeah, white lady. She did like a she did like a experiment with the white kids.
I think her name's Jane something.
I totally forgot it, right? And yeah, she said that it's you know, if you want to end, you know, oppression or systematic racism or or colonialism ideologies from kids, you have to start with the education. And because if you think about, she broke it down. If you think about it, when you go to white schools, and everything, the history, everything, all the history we learn is all about the white triumphs and white accomplishments.
Yep.
We never hear about the accomplishments of other colored people.
Mm-hmm.
So and we start that at a very young age as a kid. So every time we associate greatness or exploration or invention of anything great or any kind of great history that was made in history, we always think of white people.
Yep.
And psychologically, we kind of like encourage, you know, oppressed kids to know, hey, this is white kid, you know, white dominance. And then since we don't learn about our own history, we feel like that we're lacking, or we don't have anything to offer or to prove or to you know, to excel in life.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when we think about white people, obviously there's all these great people like Columbus, George Washington, and when I saw the documentary, I never realized that, like you said, you know, when you went back to Samoa and you learned about your roots and your culture and your history, you know, it gave you a sense of like empowerment, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So even now, I'm thinking about it right now. As a kid, imagine if you're a Polynesian kid and you're reading about your own, seeing somebody that looks just like you on the textbook.
Yeah, well, seeing historical heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Know? Because we have our modern day heroes like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Roman Reigns, Jason Momoa, Dinah Jane, Nia Jax, Paris Goebel. You know, we have our modern day heroes, but we don't have our history heroes. Yeah. And I mean, we all take history class all the way up till we graduate high school, and so absolutely, we need to be teaching our kids their own history. Yeah,
if you tell kids about the, you know, because, you know, as kids we dream about heroes. We talk about heroes. Like, that's why we love superheroes. That's why we love Superman. Right. That's why we love Superman, because like it's like it gives us like strength to see that person, right? So I can only imagine, like, as much as we love Superman, if we taught the Polynesian Superman or Superwoman, you know, like that would definitely encourage a lot of kids to know, hey, like anything is possible. There's no limitation, right? And just kind of like see their mind instead of being shackled. Yeah, it's crazy how people don't. It's crazy how a lot of people don't realize this, that this is like, they just think that world is the world, but they don't realize all the system behind it. And people don't really. Yeah, it's crazy. People just think, oh, this is how it is, but they don't realize like there's a purpose behind it. Yeah, there's a purpose behind everything, especially when it comes to education. Wow, that's kind of deep. So that's if people out there, if we came together as a community, because, you know, Polynesian, we have the money, we have the resources. Yeah, you ever been to Polynesian?
Look at the weddings and the funerals.
If you see Polynesian churches, weddings and funerals, like when we need to do something and host an event, we find the money.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I feel like we could come together and build schools, and if we can teach our own history, that'll be I'm not like, that'll be exciting if there was like a Polynesian.
It doesn't even have to be like a 8 to 3 school. It could just be like an after school program, you know, like you hear about, like, there's Greek school, there's my friends have gone to Korean school, and it's not during the school day. It's like on the weekend or at night. So, you know, if we don't have a full-blown school, we can at least have programs set up that does allow our kids or our people in general. I mean, my friends who go to Korean school are 26 years old, but they go on the weekend and they learn to cook, to speak, their history. So I mean, there's ways we can get this done. Granted, with COVID, it's a little difficult, but I mean, we can always do like online stuff or Zoom calls like this. So that's possible.
All right, that's the topic, colonialism.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I would love to go and like spend like the next 5 hours on that, but thank you for everybody out there. I think the one thing I could say, just listen from you, do your research, right? I guess for
Or
your
reach
research.
out to somebody that you think would have no, because sometimes Google can be convoluted with nonsense. So if you know somebody that might have the knowledge, go ask them.
What do you find most of your sources?
Google.
Google. Oh, Google.
But
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I'm saying. It's convoluted is because
You know what you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, I do now. But when I
Yeah,
was starting 2 years ago, I was like, how am I going to find anything? There's nothing here. But now I know where to kind of filter my way through. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you know somebody, go to them. But if you want to take the Google train, go for it. It's a lot tougher.
All right, nice. Okay. All right, so yeah, the one thing I do want to say, I noticed when you mentioned in your life story, how you kind of changed course in life, because as you were talking about your life, you went to you went from playing sports, you went from going to different places, and you went to different jobs. I want to ask you, as far as your whole life, what kept you going? Because I feel like as Polynesians, as people in general, that's one thing they worry a lot about is how their life is going to play out. That's why I always tell everybody, life is a journey. You just gotta keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Some things may not happen now, but doesn't mean it's gonna happen later.
Yeah.
But now, for you, how were you able to keep overcoming the many obstacles, adversities that you went through in your life, and which kind of led to where you're at right now and the type of person you became?
Yeah. I would say my mom was one of my biggest supports. Granted, we don't get along all the time or have the same ideas. But she's always been an encourager. A good support system has seriously been probably the best thing ever. Just because if you don't have your parents' support, but at least a group of people do believe in you and they will encourage you, that's kind of probably what has kept me going, because you're to me, parents don't always see the full picture and they just want what is best for you. And they don't understand sometimes what they think is best is not best. It's a great option. It's a wonderful option. And so for me, it's been able to prove to my parents this is what I want to do, and if you don't get it, I will show you.
Okay.
And so, and then on the flip side, having that group of people that I can be am I doing the right thing? Is this what I should be doing? And for them to be yeah, this is it. And have people that are honest. Don't have people that just flatter you. Because I've had that, and that's fine. But the people that are actually going to be honest with you and will be hey, maybe don't do this, but do this. That works too. Because there have been plenty of times where my career and all that's fine, but my personal life, I've definitely needed the people to be yeah, dump him, or don't think about that guy, because he's deterring you from the goal that you need to be going down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the people that are going to support you, but also keep it real.
Yeah. I feel like nowadays, people are seeking the truth, but they can't take the truth.
Yeah.
They want it, but they don't want to, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no, 100. And trust me, I did not want to hear it half the time, but now looking back on it, it was the truth.
Okay. What do you feel is what was the hardest experience that you went through in your life? But it also was the biggest difference kind of for you to grow to kind of be who you are today?
I would say moving here to Nashville has been probably most recently the biggest challenge, just because this is the first time. I mean, I've lived on my own when I was at Harding, but this again, I'm living with my sister, which is fine, but we had to learn how to relive again to get together, because we're different people than what we were when we were in high school. So there's that, and then my job has thrown me through a few loops that has been difficult.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, then COVID hit, and it's kind of thrown me, COVID hit and really has played a number, I would say, on my mental health. Just because I'm an outgoing, sociable person. but ever since COVID hit, I've kind of not been as sociable.
Yeah.
I probably stay more in the apartment anytime than I
Mhm.
ever have. And so like my mom and sister will be like, have you gone out? Like, are you doing stuff? So yeah. But I mean, I'm working on it.
So good. I know. I think everybody's going through. How's the COVID policies out there in Nashville? Is it more lenient or is it like more strict over there?
It's a little strict, just because we were like the number one hotspot in the world at one point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone. Oops, sorry. Anywhere you go, you have to wear a mask.
Okay.
So, yeah, where vaccinations are rolling out, so eventually we'll be okay. But right now, it's just
Okay.
still strict on the strict on the masks.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for sharing your life story. I hope everybody's watching got to get a feel of who Aynsley is.
Yeah.
And thank you for our helpful discussion on colonialism. I think a lot of like the Polynesians hope you like that because I feel like that's something that's important for us to understand like our history, and also
Yeah.
understanding. I feel like also understanding like behaviors. Why we do certain things. I think that's something that it's really healthy as Polynesians to ask questions, but we can go into that later.
We will be on colonization for like 5 hours.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about some topics. One thing that I'd like to do on my podcast is promote happiness, love, success.
Mhm.
So we'll dive right into the happiness, avenue. So I know we had some questions about, Pacifica women in leadership roles.
Mhm.
We already talked about being plastic, and we had a whole conversation with that already. So we kind of covered that already. Yeah. So can you talk about being Pacifica woman and women out there trying to put themselves in leadership roles, like?
Yeah. I just seen that like our women have so much potential to be leaders in our community. I know like in Samoa, like I think 10% of women
Mm-hmm.
are matais. And there's not enough leadership in the parliament to the point that there's a law now that 5 seats must be filled by women in Samoan parliament. So it's just like that thing where it's like we need women leaders, and we've got to cultivate them. We've got to educate them. We've got to empower them or support them when they want to be leaders. That's not saying that if they're like, if they make, how do I say this? That's not saying that like any woman who runs for like office or something, and yet she supports like colonization ideology, colonizer ideology, that we need to support her just because she's in a leadership role. Absolutely not. Like if she values her proximity to whiteness, I'm sorry, we're not going to vote her into office. Like that's putting us steps backwards. So we need women leadership, but we need women leadership that are going to push our community forward.
And when you say leadership roles, like which roles, like which roles in society?
All of them. I don't have like, I don't think
does it only refer to like America, or like you for like in the islands, or all countries?
All of them.
Oh,
like
okay.
Everybody, like we need all the women. Like I just featured a woman on my blog who just graduated with a biochemistry/psychology degree. I can't wait to see her be a head scientist somewhere. I can't wait to see her lead like a research program or whatever, be the dean of a college for that area of expertise. Like our women are able to be leaders anywhere that we put our mind to, as long as they're just not supporting the colonizer ideology.
Okay. Why do you feel like the Polynesian, what's stopping them from going into leadership roles?
I think it's because our community sometimes still has that weird mindset that all we need to be doing is in the kitchen. Like it's not said, but it is actions,
Yeah.
not many women are matais. not many women, like it's through the things that we're doing. It's not said out loud, but it's through the things that we are doing. That's why,
Okay.
or like, you need to be quiet, you need to be meek, you don't need to be loud or vocal about anything, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. So, I want to ask you, do you believe because one thing I do listen to, do you know a guy named like Jordan Peterson?
Mm-mm.
You've ever listened to him?
No.
No. He's like, he's a psychiatrist, and he always talks about like, he talks a lot of like feminists, right? Of men and women trying to go into different roles, and sometimes he says like, because of if there's not a lot of women in a certain industry, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a lack of, I guess, of opportunity. Like for me, it's like pretty much what he's saying is like, okay, like CEOs, right? Women CEOs. Of course, do we like to have a lot of women out there to be women CEOs? No, that'd be great. That'd be great to see. But do you like? I want to ask you, like, do you feel like that there's a lot of women out there? Because CEOs or like any top spots, like a small percentage of people, right?
Yeah.
And also requires like a lot of work to get to that point. Especially now in America, we have all this opportunity. Do you meet a lot of women? Like, do you meet like from your experience? Like, do you meet a lot of women in your life that all want to strive to be a CEO, or just like a small percentage group?
I would say most of them want to be. Most of them want to be CEOs, but CEOs of their own business. Doesn't mean like corporations. So like a lot of the people I've met are owners of their own business. So I guess you could say they are CEOs. They're just not CEOs of like a Forbes 500, business.
When I say like a CEO, just their own business.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I meet plenty of women who have their own business, and so, I know most of them that are either wanting to own their own business or work their way up to that position.
Oh, okay. Is it like an overwhelming majority, or just like out of all the women you meet in your life, or is like a small percentage?
I would say, it's half and half, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
In terms of like, and some of them, it's not. Yeah, I would say it's half and half.
Half and half. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just gonna move because my phone's dying. So
it's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, right. I definitely would say it's half and half.
It's half and half. Oh, okay. No, that's something I just because I consume a lot of content. I watch other podcasts, and they always talk about women going into leadership roles. And and for me, it's like in my personal experience, like the type of the women I have met that actually want to go into that type of role or path, it's a small percentage. But most women that I do meet, especially Polynesian women, they prefer just to be a home or a wife. So for me, it's like, I guess what I'm asking is like, is there really an obstacle that's stopping him, or is just or the most women don't want to be because for a lot of women I hear like there should be even amount. There should be even amount of men that CEOs, even amount of women that CEOs. Which I mean, for me, is like definitely that I do believe in equality, but I also believe like equality of opportunity. But I guess there's a difference between equality of opportunity and like equality of outcome. Because would I love to see a world where half and half is great, like half CEOs, half men. But for me, it's just based on my own experience, like I realize it's only the amount of women I've met in my life. There's only a fairly select few, like like the top 3%. That I've actually met from a lot of women that actually want to be that.
Well, then come hang out with me and we'll figure it out, because I'll direct you to some more. No, I think part of it, just talking about women in general, it's all about, first off, empowering them. So like, if you've gone through your entire life being told that you cannot do something, or that the way you've been treated is that you're not meant to be in that role. Like, take for example, like for me, like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how many times I've been at like a school, like I've been like growing up in high school, I was told, no, you can't do this because it's supposed to be the guys who do it. No, you
Hmm.
can't do this because guys are supposed to do this. No, you can't be a speaker for something because there's mixed company. No, you can't. I don't know. There's just been many times where I've been told no because a guy is supposed to do it. So
Yeah.
there's that. So, like, if you can imagine from a young age being told no all the time, when you get older, what makes you think that you can do it? You know? So
Yeah.
what makes a person, and luckily I had a mother who was always like, no, you can do it. Like, you just tell them that you can do it. Or, I found different people again in history or around me that I saw doing the damn thing. And so that empowered me to do that. So first off is like, how are we raising them up? What is the mindset that we are instilling into our women?
Hmm.
Second off, I would say is the environment. Is the environment telling them that they would have that opportunity, or is it being open to them? So, again, if I was to be in a workplace and all the top execs are male, where do I think I would actually have the audacity or the invitation to put my application forward?
Hmm.
Because all the people on that board or on that executive team are all
Hmm.
going to be almost the same mindset, you
Hmm.
know? Sure, they have different backgrounds and stuff, but it is a different mindset. And there's a quote from a Maori woman during the New Zealand suffragist movement. And
Hmm.
she said, we've sent our men to Parliament, we've sent our men to England, we've sent our men everywhere else for our voices to be uplifted. And I'm paraphrasing, this is not her exact
Yeah.
quote,
Yeah. Yeah.
but she goes, you know what we haven't tried? We haven't tried sending our women. But why are we the last resort? That's another thing. Why are we the last resort to getting something done? Why aren't we the first option? So it's just those kinds of things. So you're like mindset and environment, is like, I would say, is part of it all.
Okay. Mindset, environment. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. No,
Because
yeah.
you can, like you said, you could bring the argument saying, well, there are opportunities for them to apply, or there's these da da da. But I'm like, yeah, there are opportunities, but let's look at like how they grew up. Let's look at what they've been told their entire lives. What do you think is going to make, like, men have been told their entire lives, you're a leader, you're supposed to lead, you're supposed to be the person that does this, you're supposed,
Yeah.
and women are told, no, you're supposed to sit down, you're supposed to, so when you have all
You,
these supposed to's.
no, I totally understand that point. Because, when if you get told something your whole life, you can be conditioned to kind of like doubt yourself and not feel like that you have the confidence to do it, right? But you
Yeah,
also believe, but you also believe like do you believe in like masculine traits and feminine traits and how that also has a big factor on our decisions in life and who we become, or like masculinity and femininity? Do you believe in it?
like, oh, like, say that one more time.
No, do you believe in like femininity, like that a lot of our uh characters of who we become comes from like our biology? It's like, women, you guys will naturally be caring and more emotional. It doesn't matter what environment you're going to be born into. Just there's certain traits that you're going to have because you're a woman. There's certain traits I'm going to have as a man. It doesn't matter which part of the world where I'm born.
Mm,
I'm gonna have these certain masculine traits and feminine traits because of course, like the one thing that we know, women, more you guys are more nurturing and caring and more emotional than men. That's because you guys are made to be moms, so that's why that's something that you guys are created for. And men,
I
I'm, I'm not saying that's not gonna say that happens to all women, but like
yeah,
most women are nurturing and more caring and more emotional, more open. That's just a natural feminine trait you have as women. Do you believe in that, or like have you ever looked at that type of research or
I haven't
that topic?
I haven't really looked into that type of research. Um, I mean, I've heard about it, but I haven't dived more into it just because I think in our society today, it's kind of a fluid thing, honestly. Because if you just say there's masculine and feminine, then you're just kind of, to me, it's kind of isolating those in the like LGBTQ plus communities where they they aren't traditional, you know?
Yeah, I'm
And
not saying
so
I'm not saying about like the traditional part. I'm just saying like as human beings, like who we become has a we have natural traits that we're born with.
I get
As men and as women. Because of our biology, because of how we were how we were created.
yeah, but I don't think that like factors into like your ability to lead, you know? I mean, I do think that maybe there may be more nurturing. I don't know. I've seen both sides because I have a mom who's, yeah, she's nurturing and stuff like that, but I also have a dad who's the same way. They
Yeah, like
nurture.
no, like men and women, we both have feminine and masculine traits, but of course we have dominant masculine traits, and women have dominant feminine traits.
Yeah, I guess I can't really answer just because like my mom wears the pants in the family, like not gonna lie. And my
Oh
dad,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and so it's just like, I mean, I do see them as man and woman, but I just don't. If I was to tell you the more masculine, I would say it's my mom versus my dad, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
and so like my dad, like if we were to do like Graham, my mom's a great cook and she cooks all the time, but my dad loves to bake. And so I don't know, like when looking at that respect, I guess it's to me, I don't really see that just because
Like
I
yeah,
I grew up in
okay.
different, yeah, I just kind of grew up different. I not I know some people that have a more feminine dad and a more masculine mom.
Yeah,
So I guess it's just for me, I don't see it. And I do see that, like, you know, if you are a female that's more femme, then yeah, but
yeah.
I've had tomboy stages in my life too. So
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. The reason I bring up because I've heard that from a lot of people. Like certain jobs and certain things. I just feel like that for me, that a biology, has a big implicator. Just like nursing. Like if nursing was given like if nursing was provided the same opportunity for all men and women, and we were all given a choice, right? Most women would choose to go uh, into nursing because it fits their natural character to be caring to people and nurturing. And most
mhm.
men were like, "Nah, I don't want to be a nurse,"
Yeah, I mean,
because we don't have that caring nature that you guys have to take care of patients, and just like bricklayer, like a lot of people would say, okay, how come most people bricklayers, who build houses, how come there's no women there? No, it's just men are bricklaying is a very heavy duty physical job, and most men are
mhm.
physically stronger, so naturally their trait will fit into. That's why that bricklayer industry that's a more dominant for men. No, that's just something I always want. I just think about all the time because now we do have the choice to do whatever you want to do. But of course, every situation is different. Some people are born in a home where they were verbally abused and conditioned as a child that they can't do something that and that. But by me personally, I believe like also, I believe like we do have the freedom of choice, but I also feel like some of our traits as men and women have a big indicator of who we become, and I guess the type of
Well,
jobs depending on the job that we want um, in life. So like, and that's just a question for me. Is it do is there something really stopping women from being CEOs, or are women, or just most women just don't want to be a CEO, but only a few women want to do it. Of course, those women who want to do it, we should definitely encourage it. Hey, go be CEO. I want women to be CEOs. So
mhm.
I'm just trying to like, yeah, I just want to ask is there are there really blocks stopping them from being punished CEOs, or especially Pacifica women, or most, or is the question is, do most Pacifica women would prefer not to be a CEO?
I mean, if you look at some of the businesses that we have, some of the small businesses that we have,
Yeah, yeah,
most of them are owned by women.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
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 so I think, I don't think it's the stopping. I think it's the layers of the system, that
yeah,
we were talking about, that hinders them. And yeah, I think a lot of things are more developed than they are like assigned at birth. Uh
yeah,
just because like for me growing up, like I was very, I guess what you could say, girly. I was very girly. I always wore dresses and whatnot.
Yeah.
But as I got older and I was shown that I could be a leader, or that I was like told I could be a leader,
Yeah.
I know that became more masculine. But I had a tomboy, I had a girly stage, I had tomboy stage, and then I had like a mixture of the two. But you know, growing up for me, like I grew up around very strong women. And I also had a strong mom. And so, and I think like if you look at our own women, a lot of our women are strong too. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we get told all the time that we're linebackers, like physically,
Yeah.
but we're
Yeah.
also strong mentally. And so I think it is that possible. But you know, like when you look at like women in leadership, especially if you're talking CEOs, like, yeah, I think there's like layers of the system that we have to go through, red tape, a bunch of, not red tape, but just layers of the system. Because there's the, not just that you're a woman, you're also a woman of color,
Mm-hmm.
um, depending on where you came from, again, how you speak,
Mm-hmm.
because we can't deny the fact that like the system does like women that are articulate, as people would
Yeah. Yeah.
say, you
Yeah.
know. And so yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that they don't want to. I just think, you know, there's that systematic part of it all.
Oh, okay. All right. No, no, that's no. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because there's something I
No,
always
it's a
hear.
great discussion. No, it's
Yeah, I
absolutely
always
great.
hear. Yeah,
I'm
I always
always
hear.
for it.
I always hear because I do watch other podcasts and they always bring up, they always talk about that, why women should be this and that, and you hear both sides. So
Do they ever bring a woman on the podcast to discuss that with, when they talk about things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. So there's a woman talking
Okay.
with there's a woman entrepreneur. She's talking with a guy, and this is multiple channels, and because
Yeah.
right now in America that's a big thing now, and women empowerment, and then, which I believe like women should be given the same opportunity, and if any woman, well, whatever you want to do, hey, good, do you, and be great,
Yeah.
be great. But me personally, I just feel like also like like a lot of the professions that people do, depending what that profession is, I feel like it really it depends. I feel like our biological traits that we're born with has a big indicator. Like we talk about, like if I saw the nursing, um, I think the statistic for nursing is like a big majority is women. For me, I wouldn't look at it and be like, oh, there's a how come men aren't going to nursing? Is it something stopping from men going to nurses?
Well, that's what I'm talking about, like with the environment and your mindset.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, like changing the environment, changing the mindset, because, when we let our guys know that nursing's just a job, it's not a female or male job, which I think more men are going into nursing. And I think, this whole question is like interesting that you bring it up, just because like when I'm thinking about it, the people that I know that are nurses, yes, there's women, but I know a good majority that are men. And I will tell you this job that I have now is the first job. Let's see. Yeah, this job now is the first time I've had a male boss or a male CEO that I worked for.
Yeah.
So, in my 5 years or however long I've been working, I've had a very, I guess you could say, eye-opening experience to that. Like, I've worked for female CEOs, female boss. People in my life that I know are male nurses. So, that's why I have a hard time answering it, just because I'm like, oh, like I don't have that perspective. Like my perspective is like, I see different, genders being in different roles. And so it's just like, for me, I'm just like, however you're, so I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. That's what I wanted to bring up, because that's something I just see, and it's just the conversations I see also. And that's the conversation I always hear from a lot of people. They always, when they debate, like, women, and they always talk about, is it really the obstacles? Because especially for first world countries, and there's more opportunities now than we ever had in history. Or is it really just the choice that we're making? But like I said, nobody, I guess, if you guys have any answers, you're watching this, drop some comments below. You guys, but we just wanted to talk about it. Yeah, I want to do transition into. I know we wanted to bring it up. Pacifica guys. Dating white women.
Yeah.
So what's the let's kind of dive into that because I know that's something that I've heard personally from a lot of Polynesian women.
Well, since you are a Pacifica guy, what is your take on it?
From guys from guys dating white women. Oh man. I don't know because for me, we live in an age now, generation where we're kind of free, right? We're kind of free to date anybody who we want to date. I do listen to a lot of like I said, some black. I have listened to like some the psychology of like the of the history of black people. Why they said that I was listening to this guy. I watched a podcast with back in the day. A lot of black men would want to date a white woman back in the day because of like the validation it came with it, right? Okay, I'm dating this white guy, white girl. I married this white girl. Now that's my validation of society to kind of like to let them know like my worth and value. So
proximity to whiteness, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Colonization we just talked about before. We always feel less than the whites. So what's the best thing to get to the same level as whites? Go marry a white.
Yeah,
my white woman. So I get that part, but for me, my personal experience for most of my friends, like when I talk to them, and I have a lot of friends that date white girls, that was never the case. Like I feel like it's maybe more variety. You want to try something new, curiosity. But I've never met a Polynesian guy that said, what, I wanted to date a white woman because I needed validation to prove my worth or value in society. I've never heard that from my white friends. Maybe that's the case, but I just never heard it said openly. And they just like, they were just like, the main reason why I hear a lot of my Tongan friends, my Polynesian friends that they date white women because they're just tired of the culture. Our culture, there's a lot of financial responsibility, a lot of things that we have to do, and we call it in Tonga called kabengas, or maybe someone is I don't know. Lava. Yeah. So there's a lot of like there's so much responsibility, and if you're Polynesian, you know this already. There's just so much responsibility that comes with it. Funerals, birthdays, church, so many things, and for some of the guys, some of my friends that they want white women, like they just got tired of that. And they just want to be free of that, and they just wanted to live on like a normal life, free of responsibility and all these extra things. So they just wanted they just wanted peace. And I also understand that part too, because like it can be frustrating sometimes for people to depending on which family you have. Some families are very organized, right? But some families are just like disorganized, and they just put they just want this and this and this from everybody. So that's I guess the main reason why, from my experience, from my friends that I know that marry white women, is just the culture was too much. The culture was too much, and they just wanted to let that baggage go and just kind of like be in peace and just have a normal life and normal relationship without the extra attachments, especially when it comes to traditions and culture that come with it. So that's what I hear. That's what I've seen. So what do you think?
So I've heard that. I've also heard the I could be dating my cousin.
The family part. Yeah,
which I get, but like you're Tongan and I'm Samoan, and so it's just like if you were to tell me that, I'd be like, no, there's no way we could be cousins. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just like across the board, I could be dating and I'm like, but like if you're from a different island, that doesn't make sense. And on top of that, like, check the village, like, because if we come from different villages, that doesn't make sense. So, and it's not that hard just to be like, hey, where's your family? Like, what village is your family from? I mean, I've done that with different Samoan guys.
But the most I want to ask you, like, because a lot of the Tongan girls I know, they prefer to date within their own, Tongans. Of course, there's some girls that they don't care, like, but for a lot of the Tongan girls that I do hear, like, they want to date Tongans. And when I ask you, do Samoans the same way? The Samoans that you surround yourself with, are they open to dating outside of Samoan culture, or do you prefer Samoan men?
I would say like the girls at least they would love to like date a Samoan guy,
Yeah,
or just
yeah.
an
So
islander guy,
yeah,
most of the girls I talk to, they're like, I would like to just date an islander guy. It's not necessarily like, I want a Samoan guy, to me, I just like me just in general is like, I just want an islander guy, it's not necessarily like he has to be Samoan. I mean, if he's, because I feel like most of us understand the culture, like, yeah, they're different, but at the same time they're similar. So like we understand the financial obligations, we understand the big events, we all understand the reverence that should be brought to any family gathering, to any like cultural event. We get that. We're not going to have to sit there before and just be like, okay, put your lava lava on because blah blah blah, and then we get the whole, why do I have to wear this? This is dumb. And I don't want to have to continuously explain myself. I think that's one thing that women have said, they just don't want to have to continuously explain themselves. There's this nice, you talking about the guys wanting to get out responsibility. Granted, there are also women, but the guys want to get out responsibility, but there's a beauty in understanding each other's cultures and already just getting it,
Yeah.
And there's also like the whole thing, and this is just a complete joke, but there's a comedian, Ali Wong, and she married, she's Asian, and she married another Asian, and she was like explaining what parts of Asia they were from, and they're like, she's like, I love going home with my Asian husband, and we couldn't go shit on other Asians, and like he would get it, like if I was to go home and like I had to, and I was just like, making jokes with my, like if I had a Polynesian boyfriend or husband, I don't think he would get it, but like if I had an islander guy, I could easily crack jokes and he would 100% understand me, and I wouldn't have to explain myself and be like, this is why I'm saying this, like, so there's that aspect, and then what was the cousins that, and then just like there's just been just on social media in general, just outright disrespect for our women when it comes to dating. Like we get called fat, we get called linebackers.
I'm not cool with that.
There was an NFL player that was like, I will never date a Polynesian woman. And then he had to retract his statement and say, oh, well, I just am scared that she's going to be my cousin. Which if I was the reporter, I would follow up being like, well, what if she's like Tongan, or what if she's Maori, or what if she's, Kakayo, So it's just like, because he was Samoan. And there's just things where I'm like, these statements, some of these just don't make logical sense. So
I want to ask you, why do you feel like Polynesian guys date white women? Like just you personally.
So I've done some research. It's very like loose
of course,
research.
Of course, you've done your research. I knew this was coming.
So, I do believe that most of it is proximity to whiteness, especially as they level up in their life. If you look at all of our rugby players, you will see that they're all dating white women or married to white women. There's only a small percentage that are married or dating Polynesian women or Pacifica women. And another thing to that is that somebody has brought up the fact that like the people that can afford those tickets though are Polynesian people. So it's kind of this like another point at like the system
of like colonization.
And how messed up it is, and then some of them have said that, oh well, Polynesian women are softer, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean?
What do you mean? When you say soft, what's softer? What do they mean by softer?
Like, I think it's just like they're more, I've heard they're more feminine, or they're more like, they're not going to be like vocal. Like, I'm pretty sure like me being so vocal about different things and outspoken, that's not attractive apparently. So it's just like those kinds of things. So, but I just find it in the, like when they hate on our women, it's just, interesting because on the flip side, they have mothers and sisters and cousins and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
aunts.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I feel like
yeah.
I feel like though that's just yeah, those guys that do that, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there was a tweet that went around. It was 2019, and it was this guy that was like, "Yeah, I'd never date a Polynesian woman. She can't pay her bills and is lazy." And I'm like, "Well, let me show you my 2 degrees and my 9 to 5 job, and I'll let you know."
Yeah. So you feel like it's like the culture that's the problem? Like it's like this narrative that or maybe like the continued colonialism ideologies have continued throughout societies to paint white women, white people as like the ultimate, I guess, cherry on top in life. And
Mm-hmm.
then like you say, proximity to whiteness, right? Like the closer we get to white people,
Mm-hmm.
the I guess that's the validation that we need to prove to people that we've made it. We made it
Yeah,
in life.
absolutely. If you do you watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette?
Highlights when
Okay.
people if people post it on TikTok, but not I don't go looking for it.
Okay, so I look at it at this parallel, like the parallels, because Matt James is a black man, the first black bachelor, and his very first, like one of his meetings he had with Chris Harrison before the women came out, he was like, "I need America to know not to get upset with me on who I'm going to date."
Yeah,
You look at the tweets that came through, like to me as a woman of color, I was seeing that as a women of color, especially black women, because that's who he's mainly talking to, don't get mad at me when I pick a white woman. And if you look at Twitter, you see a lot of white women being, "Oh, that's so sweet that he was like, like you don't have to care about, like, you just look at the person." On the flip side, you saw a lot of black women seeing that it was another black man who was going to not choose a black woman.
yeah,
And that's how I feel about like with our Pacifica guys. That's how it is. It's just like proximity to whiteness. They don't see us as valuable. They don't see us as women who would help them with their careers, who would help them.
or you guys qualified enough to
We're not qualified enough to
yeah
do that.
yeah for them to level up in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And like that, just to me, that is such a disservice because we are some of their huge supporters. I mean, when you look at rugby players, you wouldn't be in the spot you were in if it wasn't for our community, and that community includes our women.
yeah,
So yeah, that's just like where I've come to the conclusion when somebody hates on our women in the terms of dating. It's just like, you're missing out. You're the one missing out because we can do so much. We are able to not only preserve the culture in its authenticity, but we're also able to show the best of you if you wanted us to.
yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So for you personally, you just believe that most Polynesian men that I'm not gonna lie, when I first came to America, the first what was on my mind was like getting with the white girl.
No,
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
mean, I
I'm not gonna lie. And it's not because I wanted to, because like that was my preference. I just, I'm not gonna lie. When I came to America, I was like, yeah, I wanted the American dream, the opportunity, and I also wanted to be married a white girl. But now, like looking back now, the reason why I said that because I associated the white girl to like the American dream, and like
the American
making
dream, which is
to make
yeah,
to make it in life. And yeah, I just yeah. And then so now I'm looking back at it, I did think that way.
yeah,
And then that's what got me to talk to white girls. But now I'm thinking it wasn't even really me. Like it wasn't that, it wasn't organic. Like, oh, I just wanted to talk to like, no, I wanted to talk to white girls because I just saw them as like, oh my God, this is like, I guess a way to elevate myself if I do it.
yeah.
So no, yeah. But I don't think that way now.
And
I
I'm
just,
not,
yeah, yeah,
there are plenty of amazing men and women that marry into the culture. I'm not
yeah,
saying that. I'm
yeah,
not a
yeah,
purist by any means.
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, when you think about who you're going to date, is it because
yeah,
you don't think we are worth it, or is it because you know it is a preference, or you genuinely have
You
this connection with that person.
with that person. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like, because like, there's a couple who they do, I think it's Tiny Tongan books. Oh, dang it. There's a couple that have a book coming out. And he's Tongan and she's Palangi. She's white. And she is amazing. She speaks the language. She's so respectful. She knows that, like, she's always like, I'm here to listen and I'm here when you guys need me, but my voice is not the voice that needs to be talking if there's problems that the community needs to figure out. Like, I'm not the person that needs to be creating the narrative. I need to be the one that helping the narrative be uplifted. So, I love that. And I have so much respect for that couple. So.
Okay. Nice. So if you had a son one day, he brought home a white girl.
It just depends. Like, it really would depend if I have a son and he's like, hey mom, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do what my mom does, which is like be like, what does she do?
Yeah.
Is she going to be prepared? It's like, is she going to be prepared to do the culture things? Because my kids will be raised to respect the culture, and if they try to backhand it, I will backhand them. But it's just like, the Black community has hard conversations that we don't really have those. We have our own tough conversations that we have to have.
Yeah.
Just like any ethnic group that's in the States or living in the diaspora. And so to me, if I had a brown son and he brought home a Palangi girl, I would just be like, is she ready? Like, and if it was just like someone that's new dating, then I wouldn't say anything. I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to see how this goes. But if it's serious, then I'm going to be like, I would probably sit down with her and I'd be like, listen, sweetie, here's what you're going to be in for. Just I hope you're prepared.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I do believe that because I'm always thinking about the future, right? Because think about where's the Tongan culture going to be, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, right? Right now, the culture is already getting diluted, right? So for me, I prefer, for me, I prefer to marry Polynesian girls because, like you said, I feel like that in order to keep the history, the only way you keep the history is to marry somebody that understands the history just as much as you do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know for me, if I have kids one day, I would encourage them to, they ask me directly, like, hey, go marry a Polynesian woman. But I wouldn't, but if they happen to meet somebody else, and fall in love with a different race, I wouldn't mind that. And that's the thing for me is like, I do think about our history. I'm prideful about my history. And I also, so those guys are out there that want to date because they want to get out of it. They don't want to deal with the culture. I mean, for me, it's like, that I understand that, but like, that's also part of where you came from and made you who you are.
Yeah.
And I do, even though it is tough, but like, that's just life. Everything's tough. Everything's hard.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I just don't, for me, like, I want to make sure the culture of Polynesian pride is intact. And I know for a fact that if it won't, the only way we could keep it intact is to make sure we marry as Polynesian. Again, that's just normal. That's just reality. Like, if you, whatever interest you have, if you marry with somebody with the same interest, that ideology or that passion you have is going to be passed down stronger to your kids. But if you marry somebody that's totally opposite of who you are and what you believe in, then it won't be the same when you pass it down to your kids. Yeah. So for me, it's all I just don't want people thinking like I'm being racist or anything.
No. I feel the same way because like every time I talk about this, I'm like, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying these are my reasons why.
Yeah.
And like, Tanel has a song with Spawn Breezy where it's called Island King. And she goes, the line is, what is it? To all my other something, don't hate me. I'm just trying to preserve my culture and bloodline. Yeah. And so it's just like, to me, ever since I heard that song, I was like, it makes so much sense. Like it
Yeah.
just, to me, like you said, like just to preserve the culture and like it's on the authenticity. Because
Yeah.
I know for a fact, like I grew up in a very dominant white area, so like I know
Yeah.
what it's like to be
Yeah.
removed, and I know what it's like, and so I don't want that for my kids.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to know what that's like.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
Okay.
just very very passionate about this subject just because
So
it's not one that's talked often enough. I don't
yeah.
think, you know,
All right.
we don't.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's I mean, yeah. For me, like, look, and I'm not gonna marry who you want to love, but I also feel like, if I do understand the value of keeping. I value love, but I also value culture as well, and like the history behind it. So
and they can both go together, you know.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so it definitely can go both together. Fall like the love for falling in love with the culture, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
It sounds like a
yeah,
really bad
yeah,
Harlequin
yeah,
romance.
yeah. But I do know for a fact that the only way you can keep the culture is like being with people that understands and knows the culture.
Yeah.
And yeah, because like you say, the more we, that's why you always see it. The more you marry to other races, it's just that the culture gets like diluted, generation after
Mm-hmm.
generation. And then next thing you know, like 4 or 5 generations now, the
It's
culture just
lost.
it's lost, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
Um, I do want, yeah. So we're in the topic of dating. So yeah. So what's the struggle? Or why is it hard to? So okay, you clearly I guess I can tell I know what you want. Obviously, you want a Polynesian dude.
Yeah,
But so
that's
what's
one.
the so what's stopping you from attracting what's the struggle finding
I'm in Nashville. Like TBA, TB real, but like yeah, I'm in Nashville.
Okay. So have you ever dated some Polynesian dudes?
My sister, I don't know if she's like no.
Oh, you
I
never dated?
have
Oh, yeah.
my sister's chiming in. Sorry, she has a lot of opinions about my dating life. But no, I haven't dated, but I've had situationships, I guess you could say. I don't like I would stop 1 minute. Sorry.
You just got real, y'all. Just
Sorry. Yeah, my sister's commentating. She thought I was just doing a live, but
yeah.
like no, this is a podcast. Sorry, y'all.
No, it's good.
But no, I haven't dated in a while. I've been in situationships with some Polynesian guys. One guy I met at one of my cousin's weddings, and we keep in touch, but we're not like talking or any, like we don't keep up conversations. I was interested in him, but I didn't really tell him anything. I didn't tell him. And then there was this other guy who I met in Samoa who we actually had plans to meet up, and we were talking for a while. And when he moved to the States to play rugby, because he was on Samoa's team, and then he moved to the States to play rugby. We were going to meet up, but then COVID hit. And then
Yeah.
I found out last year, it's like we were talking in March about meeting up. And then like I found out like in November he was engaged. And I was like, that was fast. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So, no, I have not dated a Polynesian guy, but I've kind of tried. I have told, yeah. So yeah.
All right. So for you, it's like, why do you feel like it's like the hardest thing about dating today in 2021?
Oh, just there's like a ton of options, and it's this what, and honestly, like, and I'm sure if she was talking a lot, my sister would tell me it's because I don't try hard enough anymore. Just like I
Yeah. I mean,
I
for me, just listen to you. I feel like it's difficult for you because like you want a Polynesian, but you live in Nashville, so your dating pool is like non-existent. So that's very.
I mean,
That's
I
gonna be
have a
very
large
tough.
dating pool, but it's just not a dating pool that I'm very interested in.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Right.
the dating pool, like you want Polynesia, but just naturally there's none out there. So
Yeah. And
that's the
so,
dilemma.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a dilemma. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I guess I could practice dating out here, but I don't know. It's just exhausting sometimes.
To constantly meet guys. Have you dated guys out there in Nashville?
No. 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 I guess I'm very comfortable where I'm at, and I guess I gotta put myself out there more. But
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just like,
Have you been like are you the one initiating it, or does the guys initiate it as well?
um, I mean, I would have to be the one initiating, and I'll have to admit, like and it's on dating apps when you would have to initiate. And some of the people I've run through, all they just want is sex, and at this point, I'm just like, I would much rather get to know the person.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm tired of always getting the sex or the dick pic. And I guess I could, you know, filter through the guys, but again, that's exhausting.
So for you, like, what's the like what are men doing? Like, is it the men, or is it the lack of the market that you have right now? Like for you,
To me, it's just like, I guess for me, like this conversation, I feel like they wouldn't be open to having, like the things I would talk about, like just like about the culture. Like I know I should diversify my interests more, but like my main interest right now is like
mm-hmm.
learning my culture and learning my history. And like, how do you bring that up in a fun way? Like, like when you're dating, you're supposed to be like kind of fun and kind of like,
Yeah.
Whereas I'm just like, let's get to the point of it all. Like, let's
Yeah.
just like, so
You should come out to the Bay. I'm telling you, there's a lot of guys here in the Bay Area.
I have been told I need to go to Utah, the Bay, or
Yeah,
like those are the three places.
Yeah, you gotta go to Utah. You gotta go to the Bay Area. You gotta go to Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just here in Nashville, and once COVID is done, hopefully I can do that. So.
Okay. Yeah. So like for when you talk to your friends, like what's the struggle for them? When it comes to like meeting people or dating people.
I would say probably just actually meeting up with people. I would say my sister has been very great at meeting guys. In the past like month or so, she's gone on her several dates, and what she calls her she calls her hoe face. She's not actually sleeping with these guys. Let me just like put that disclaimer. She's not sleeping with them, but she's going out on multiple dates with different people to try to find the one, I guess. So her approach to dating is different than mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she's getting ready for a date right now, and that's why I've been pausing a few times, because she likes to interject her comments. But
yeah,
she for her, I think some of it's like the guys keeping up with the conversation or seeming like they're interested. Like, have you seen the show Bridgerton?
I've heard of it. I've never. Yeah. Never.
Okay, so Bridgerton is a great like Jane Austen era, where like there was the courting, the like they're kind of like the romance of it all. Mm-hmm. And so granted, that is fiction and it's written by a woman, but it's also like that's kind of like an inside of like what would be great, like the courtship, the trying to like keep the conversation alive, or trying to keep the wooing alive, that kind of thing. Yeah, there's not a lot of effort being put out there sometimes.
You feel like there's a lack of like, you feel like there's a lack of a commitment now, that like people don't care about commitment no more?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah
I mean, I think some people are afraid of commitment because of like, we all have our goals now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's also like, nobody knows, or some people who can't see that you can work together towards each other's goals.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, everyone's trying to grind it out like towards their dreams, but sometimes it's nice when you have that person to work towards each other's dreams.
Yeah, just I don't know. That's the conversation I always hear from other people. Do men and women fear commitment, right? And then I hear that from both sides. But mostly from the girls. I do hear guys say it, but mostly from the women I hear.
Girls will say it, guys will show it.
Yeah. Right, like the fear of commitment. For me, I feel like everybody wants commitment. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying for the most part, like everybody wants to find love. Everybody wants to have somebody they want to commit to, and eventually marry if that's something they want. But I feel like the culture has has changed the dynamics of what love and commitment is, right? And I feel like that's one of the main reasons why dating is hard. No, commitment, because back then the commitment was like, okay, man, wife, you date, get married, and then have a career, right? So so back then you got out of high school, you married, and then you figure out your life, right? Okay, build your career, and you guys support one another, and then you make it happen. But now the narrative has changed where the culture is encouraging people, no, put career first.
Yeah.
And do everything you want to do in life, travel the world, live your best life, party, and then figure out marriage later.
Yeah.
So I feel like that culture, that new ideology, has kind of make it, that people see commitment as something down the line. It's not something they want now, right? And I feel like that's one of the, because I do believe everybody wants commitment, but it's just our culture is a lot different now. So that's why most guys and girls, I feel like, don't worry about commitment. I think no. I feel like guys don't worry about commitment as much as women, because I feel like some women, commitment is more important to you, and getting married is more important to you, because like I feel like you guys worry about your biological clock.
Yeah, I mean, but some women are having children on their own too, and then getting married. So there's that sometimes happening. But yeah, most of the time it is to find that person in order to, have a family together.
Yeah, I feel like for men, I know personally, like I've heard my friends, like they don't worry about commitment. I mean, even though it's something they want, but it's like something like they know they can always do later. Right.
Yeah.
But, and for a lot of women, it's like, the biological clock is a big thing for you guys. And then, so you guys, it's okay, 25. And then when you hit 25, then that's when everybody, that's when everybody starts rushing. And then of course, like you kind of put the expectations on men, and then the men is like, hey, yo, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, no.
I'm, because I'm not ready yet. And of course, there's always the outlier, right? The lovebirds that meet at 2021, 1918. Of course, people find love, but that's the tough part now, because I think it's just the culture. It's different now. It's not the same. The culture is different. People are encouraging. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, it's like marketing, what we say, purchase paralysis.
Yeah.
So there's too many options, so you're not going to commit to one just yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like I feel like for men, that they know, like, okay, because like we can get married at 30, 35, 40, 45.
Still have a family.
Still have a family, but for women, like, you guys are, yes. I mean, I feel for you guys. Yeah, I feel for y'all. Oh man, that's rough. That is rough.
Yeah, especially when your parents want grandkids. So
yeah, and of course, I didn't even mention culture and parenting and pressure, social pressure. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you? So for you, like, how do you like? I'm just interested to hear that. Like, how do you like bring up commitment whenever you meet somebody, or something that you just or do you just accept the fact that you just hope the guy is committed to you?
I'll be real. I've never had a boyfriend, but I've had plenty of situationships, and there's been one instance where I have had to bring it up, because it was back when I was in college, and we were in the talking stage, which I hate that stupid stage. And I had been told rumors that he was making out with another girl, even though
Mm-hmm.
everybody else knew that we were a thing, an item. And so I had to like have a conversation with him and be like, hey, I've been told by the girl and by other people that you were making out with her.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true? And he like bold-faced lied to me and was like, no, it's not true. Like, I don't, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. I was like, to me, when I say we're talking, that means we're exclusive. Like, to me, I think it's you and I. Like, no, we're not like boyfriend and girlfriend just yet,
Yeah.
but like we are exclusively seeing each other. And he was like, no, that's what it means to me too. Like, I that's what I feel. Da, da, da. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I just wanted to like make sure. Comes to find out he was lying to me. And and I just was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm more one of those people where like if the situation rose where we need to have that conversation, I'm just gonna be like, let's talk about it,
Yeah.
So
I want to ask you why haven't you had like what stopped you, like why haven't you had a boyfriend for a long time? I'm just interested here. I'm just interested to hear.
No, you're good. So yeah, I mean, part of it's been I've been more focused on my career and education growing up. It was always like don't date because you need to go to school, you need to go to, get a degree, you need to do this, blah blah blah. And so that's kind of like yeah. And so like now it's also like I'm in Nashville and now I know what I want, and yet what I want is not in proximity really. That's kind of like why I have high, I guess you could say I kind of have high standards, and probably some people will say that.
Do you have high standards?
I mean, I don't think I do.
What are your standards? What are your standards? Well,
I just think that like honestly, I actually have it written down. You want me to read you my list?
Read me the list.
Oh, it's in one of my books over here. Let me grab it.
All I know is if you had to write them down.
Okay, well, don't judge me.
I'm just making fun of you.
It was this whole. Have you ever heard about manifesting?
Yes, I do.
So it was like part of that whole thing about manifesting. And so they were like, to manifest whatever, like write it all down. And of course, even sorry, my battery keeps coming out of this thing. But even like growing up, they were always like, write down the traits you want for your husband and all that jazz. So like it was part of that and part of like the people teaching about manifestation. And I was like, okay, well, if my church and the manifestation people are saying to write down, I'll just need to write down again. So
okay. All right.
Let's see. 80 lines. So
all right, go ahead.
Family oriented, very active with the Pacifica community, and the handsome, tall, cute smile, a hardworking man, Christian but not conservative, not a racist or homophobic, good listener, loves and wants kids, close with his family, and comes from a big family, has a good job, understanding of my crazy, loves me for me, loves my family as his own, passionate about what he does, and is good at what he does, either for a living or a hobby. Because one of my biggest pet peeves is when anybody really just is like, oh, I'm good at this, and then they just stink.
Got you.
Enjoys traveling, not afraid to try new things, will dance with me even if he doesn't like to dance. Make some of these are like specifics, like makes me smile, has a good sense of humor, and can make me laugh. Educated, is a team player, wants to work together to better each other, isn't a liar, loyal, is upfront about his feelings. I think that's what I wrote. Can't even read my handwriting. Strong emotionally and physically. Pacific Islander, not a must, would be nice, is in parentheses. because like the manifestation thing was
Yeah.
like saying write down specifics, you know.
Okay.
So like I
Yeah.
took it to the extreme. I took it to the extreme for this whole thing. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah.
if I was to write a general list, isn't a picky eater, will love my parents as I love his, wants to have a family, excited about life, will come to me when he needs support, and I to him, will treasure me and not use me, has a big heart for people, wants to get married, someone I can rely on, wants to create a future / like empire together, you know, power couple. Let's see. When he looks at me, he gives me butterflies, goes out of his way to stay connected, even if we are far apart. So I put that, you know, I could do long distance. Enjoy spending time together because one of my love languages is quality time, and then after that is physical touch. When he knows I'm wrong, he addresses me gently about it. Is very passionate. We sometimes banter. Very witty. Doesn't have to be rich, but is good with money because I'm not. Is working on building a career. We work together to achieve our dreams. Wealthy enough to travel abroad, likes to go overseas, treats me like the love of his life. Will do TikToks with me.
Got you.
You know, that's so important. It's really not, but like I said, it said to be specific. Will not tell me what to do, but will talk to me about something he doesn't like. Understands that I understands that I post about Pacifica guys, but he's my main guy. You know, like my TikTok is
yeah.
Pacifica men. And let's see. And he also knows my love for Jason Momoa, but is secure with himself. He is so secure with himself that he will joke about guys with me, and I'll do the same with the girls to reassure, but needs to reassure me after. LOL. Makes me feel like I'm the only girl in the world. Is social media savvy and not insecure about it. What the heck does that mean? Some of these I don't even know why I wrote them down.
Yeah.
We can post about each other and not be weird. He isn't controlling and he empowers women. He is a moderate liberal, is into sports but has a nerdy side. Understands when I geek out about things, not self-centered, charismatic and has a great personality. Doesn't let a day go by without saying hi or I love you. Doesn't let the sun go down on his anger, willing to talk things out, goes with the flow. I'm sure all of y'all listening to this is loving this list. He is a leader, does sweet gestures, surprises me with cute messages and social media posts every once in a while, allows me to get to know every part of him and vice versa. Does not hold on to secrets, but shares with me he is my rock when I'm weak, reliable, responsible, love of my life, enjoys deep conversations of the world, something, ideas, history. He sees me. So yeah, that was
wow.
that's man.
Yeah, that was pretty detailed. That's one thing I can say about that.
They said to put down what you wanted and to manifest it. So
all right.
I was just doing what the TikTok told me.
Okay.
Like,
okay. All right. So let's come back to the real world. Let's come back to reality. So let me ask you, like, how like is that that list, is that how much of it is like must have or you can work on?
All of it is must have. No, I'm just kidding. You know, I don't know. There's some on here that are repeats. I could tell that I was repetitive. And some of them are must-haves. Some of them aren't. I honestly haven't done an exercise like this in a while.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was really just me putting my ideal dude on there.
Yeah.
But I understand there are compromises, and I'm not perfect. And whoever he is not going to be perfect. So I understand that. But
Yeah.
you know, understanding that, like, understanding my love for our culture is huge. That's I would say a deal breaker if he doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Also like the whole part about like seeing me for me, that's huge. Like
Yeah.
I have been told once in my life, like by a man, like I see you, and that just like to me meant more than I love you, because you hear I love you all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like I see you, and like that just means more to me.
Okay.
So yeah, I think if our ideas and how we interact with each other align, I think that's what means the most to me. And like respects is a family man and respects my family, because my family's weird. Like if he can get through my family, then that's stellar.
I want to ask you, does height matter to you?
Height? Okay, I saw your video about this. I was
I'm just keeping it real. Keeping it real.
No, I was just like, when I saw that, I was like, is everything okay?
No, I just saw somebody. I saw this girl. Like whenever I see people's TikToks, and I respond to it.
Okay, so I was like, did somebody hurt you, Will? Like, are you okay?
No, I just like whenever I see TikToks of people talk about certain things and trending things, I just, let me respond to it. And I do it. But like you said, that's something I always hear from a lot of women. I'll give you this is what I believe. I feel like the struggle today when it comes to like attracting a partner is like people are not really being like say honest about like their what they really want. Right. So I'll ask ladies, hey, like why do like you said, like, what do you want out of a man? And they'll all say the same thing. I want a man that's loving, this and this and this and this. And I'm like, is that really the list? They're like, okay. They'll be like, yeah, that's what I really want.
You want this list instead?
But that's what I really want, all right? And then they'll be like, okay, then I have a guy right now that has all those things. He's right there. And they'll be like, well, he's short. I'm like, what? You didn't include that on that list. Is just so for me, it's just like I feel like a lot, like you said, a lot of times I feel like a lot of the standards that we have comes from the culture that we are in, right? Sometimes I'm just saying sometimes our standards is influenced by the culture, but I feel like when it comes to finding somebody, it's just really understanding, really number one being real, like being objective about it. Okay, this is what I want, and also knowing what kind of dating pool you're putting yourself into. So if you're a type of person that has like a lot of standards, just know that the more standards you have, that the smaller that dating pool is going to be.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like the best way, have something like, obviously like the eternal. I feel like for me, like eternal qualities matter. Like having somebody that's nice, that's kind, this thing. I feel like sometimes society puts too much value on when it comes, like, say for men, is like income. Like, you got to date a guy at a certain income, or for women, like a woman should have this type of body, right? So I feel like it's all these standards are kind of like this. We have these standards that's literally limiting you from finding somebody that may not have all the things that you want, but it's close. But just because he didn't meet this one standard that society said that a guy or a woman has to have, then that's why you won't give that guy or that girl any time of day. So
height.
Like, would you like height? Like this, how tall are you willing to date?
5'9" or up.
5'9" or up.
I'm 5'6" and I wear heels a lot.
So you couldn't date a guy that's 5'7" or 5'.
Really?
So there's a guy right now that's 5'7". He has all those qualities. All those qualities you just have on that list. You know what? Same height as 5'6". You're both 5'6".
But 5'6" is like the average height for like a girl, and it's just like I wear heels.
What I'm saying is he has all those qualities you just mentioned, but he's 5'6".
Listen, if you find him, we'll discuss.
but that's what I'm. See, that's and that's what I'm saying. That's huh?
But we've talked about my qualities. What about yours? Like, what is your list?
What is my list? I don't have a list. I go by energy. I just go by energy.
And what levels of energy or what?
Like compatibility. Of course, like the common things. I love God, so what's the word? No, more good morals. Good morals is important to me. Be nice, kind, compassionate. But for me, it's like all about energy. Is like if I meet somebody and we can vibe and we can understand each other. Compatibility, like you said, when you meet somebody and you can have a conversation that we can both be ourselves and we still find interest in each other. Like I could be myself, because one thing I do realize back in the day when I was younger, that I would always try to like hide a version of myself because like I'm trying to get to know that person because I really like that person. Right?
I liked country music for a long time for that reason.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now I'm for me, transparency is really important to me. I can meet somebody, we can really enjoy each other's attention, each other's company. We vibe, we vibe with each other. We communicate. We, like I said, we can talk about things and just like I said, just that flow. All right.
Yeah.
I don't have to like. There's certain people like I've dated girls like I really had to like force myself to like start a conversation, or because she couldn't hold a conversation, and that flow wasn't natural. So for me, besides the obvious, like you want somebody, you want a guy that loves you, treats you right, faithful, like that's all. We all know that, but for me, the one thing that for me to really be attracted to somebody is just the energy, the flow, that we can just flow, understand mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
You want to be able to like look at her across the room and you guys already know what the other person is basically thinking.
No. The energy is based on.
It's like that vibe though. Like that vibe that like once you guys like vibe and get to know each other, you'll be able to like just, see each other and just like understand each other.
Just like you mentioned, like, when you date a Polynesian guy, like you guys just understand the culture and everything. It doesn't have to be explained, right? Certain people, I miss, that's what I'm talking about. Of course, all the things we want out of guys and men when it comes to loyalty and faithfulness and kindness and being a good person and loving God. Yeah, of course, that's important to me, loving family. But that's honestly for me, when I have energy and compatibility and transparency, just being open.
Yeah.
For me, when I feel like somebody's holding something back, that just disrupts the flow. Transparency, energy, and then compatibility, chemistry. Yeah, like I don't have to try to force anything. It just happens.
Yeah.
Right. And that's pretty much that's what I go off. I never took the time to have a list.
You should do it. You should just one day just sit down. If you were to meet the perfect woman, what would that be?
There's no purpose.
No. But in the ideal, not perfect. Maybe perfect something. But for Will, what is the ideal woman? Obviously, she's not gonna be perfect, but when you write that all down, to me, I just feel like I got it out.
The one thing I will say, and I've been with a lot of Polynesian girls, but a lot of the Polynesian girls I've dated or I had a relationship with, that a lot of them never understood like we talk about energy, right? Mm-hmm. So they understood my Polynesian energy, but they never understood my entrepreneurship energy, and they never got that. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I've been with some girls outside the girls that understood my entrepreneur energy and my goals and career oriented, it was actually like white girls. So that's something for me. I'm like, whenever I talked about my goals and dreams and doing this, a lot of the Polynesian girls I did spend time with, that intimidated them. They were like to see, they had that look at me like, oh, I'm crazy for even like thinking like this, or even like that's something I really wanted to achieve, which is out the norm. Like I can tell like they really prefer looking for a guy, Polynesian guy, that just had like average, I guess, aspirations for life, and that's what they were just looking for. And a lot of times, because I could tell when I brought up, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, do that.
Yeah.
The conversation ended. Like whenever we have the conversation about Polynesian topics, the flow was nice, the conversation was cool, the chemistry was cool. But as soon as I answered my my interest and passion for like building my goals and dreams and what I want to really do for my life, I just noticed for majority of most, I say for majority of them, that whole conversation just ended. And that's the thing of something I just wanted to point out. So yeah, that's what I feel like for any. So I can understand why sometimes successful guys may feel like they want to go with white women. I know we had that conversation because personally, and I'm not saying all women, I'm not saying all Polynesian women don't can handle a guy that have aspiration. But just from my own personal experience, that whenever we talk about everything like Polynesian with Polynesian girls, it was cool to the moment where I started talking about my aspirations and my goals, and then they just like deer headlight look. They're like, "What are you talking?"
Very interesting because like I have met, so like I said, you need to come hang out with me and my Polynesian girl like friends because like we all are all about talking about dreams and aspirations, where we want to go in the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. But get back to your point. Like you wanted this, so you want to date a guy that's 5'6" that has all your.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like, okay, like like guys want a girl that's like attractive. You wouldn't like. I mean, if you ask a good majority of men, they want a girl who's fit, right? They don't want to date like a heifer, as some people would say.
No. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is I feel like that's the problem. Why it's a struggle nowadays is like early on in our life, that's what we did. That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
But then we don't really think about like we don't understand that when you have these standards, it also limits you from all types of candidates. And it's not until we get older to realize, maybe I should try to
date my 5'6" man.
Date my 5'6" guy, right? But you could have done that earlier, found that person earlier. That's what I'm saying is because I know I have a lot of guys too that of course I've heard that so many times. I need the woman has to look like this, right? But then they don't realize they're cutting off a lot of good women out there and good men out there. And of course, when the guy gets older, he's like, oh, you know what? I can work with this. And then what happens? They find love in like 1 month, 2 months.
Yeah. So I have dated someone that's unconventionally attractive, or that not dated, talked to, been attracted to, and I think they were like maybe 5'8".
Yeah.
So they were a couple of inches taller than me. They weren't like the hottest person to walk out. Like honestly, he was a complete nerd, but I was attracted to him. So I've been down that road, and I got my heart broken. So if I'm gonna get my heart broken, and I'm saying this jokingly, if I get my heart broken, at least when I show people, I'd be like, "This is the guy who broke my heart." They'll be like, "Oh, he's hot," and I'll be like, "Yes, he is."
Yeah.
But that's just an ego thing, and I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's it because but what I see a lot of people is like they'll have this standard or expectation, and like I said, I believe in standards and expectations, but I feel like a lot of people are just not being real with it.
Most of the time, the guys that I turn away are actually taller than me, and it's because we don't vibe. But I've had that from guys that are shorter than those men. And the guys that I have vibed with the most recently are always Pacific Islander guys. And so that's why that's been my standard recently. And so, yeah,
top,
I mean,
so you're talking about 5'9" Pacific Islander guys.
I mean, they have been taller, but it's been a plus. Like, I mean, there's probably the one in Australia, like we talked for a bit, and he was probably 5'9". He wasn't like way taller than me. But the other two, recent ones were taller than me. I mean, the rugby player was like was massive. But yeah, and then the other one was like a Marine, and he was also super tall. So yeah, I mean, they were tall men, but they were attractive at the same time. Like I don't know. Like I do. Have you ever heard this? Are they attractive or are they just tall? Have you heard that?
Are they attractive or are they just tall? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
that's a joke that we sometimes say, like in my friend group, like we'll see a guy and we're like, is he attractive or is he just tall?
Yeah, I mean, I've been the same way. When I was younger, like, looks and, body composition was really important to me, right? But then, like I said, let's say, dude, I've met girls that are really, really physically attractive, but then, like, the energy wasn't there, the personality wasn't there. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, I've come to realization, like, I mean, it's just like, I just go with energy now. Like, there's not really any specific height, body type. If I just meet somebody and that energy is me connecting, then I go off that.
Now, what about what about like? Because here's another thing that I've been told. I even hopped into a room on Clubhouse. They were talking about dating, but a lot of people will say like long distance doesn't work.
I'm not a big. I have friends that have done it and got married, but I'm not a big fan of long distance.
1 minute, sorry.
It's good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was my mom. But yeah, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of friends I have who have done the long distance and didn't work and did the long distance and it did work. So it's always just a very interesting conversation just because people are just like automatically are just like never works,
No, the what I've seen it work, but the people that I have seen long distance work are people that really made an effort to meet each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the people that I've seen do long distance and it always fails was the people like they never saw each other barely. The people I've seen that did long distance was like they, of course, in the beginning was long distance, but once they finally got to be comfortable with one another, they actually made like they actually had a schedule. Okay, every 2 weeks they'll meet together, or every month they'll meet together. So like they had a plan behind it, but they had to see each other physically because in a relationship you have to like get that physical intimacy. So yeah, but to just to date online, and I know a lot of times like advertisements you portray that on that. It's hey guys, you don't need to meet. You guys can just date on this dating app and then maybe happy and I'd say get married and no, that's and people fall for that, but from my personal experience, people I've seen that actually did long distance and succeeded was like they made a lot of effort into finding a way to in whatever way they can to find their schedules to come together and meet in any possible way. They always found a way to make it happen, and those are the people I see that their long distance flourished into something.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a tough. That's pretty tough though.
I would say it's pretty tough as well.
I
just think it's always. I love always asking that question just to see where people stand.
Yeah. So really, and also that's a lot of investment. Financial.
No, it is. It truly is, and especially if you're going to have to switch careers too. So.
Oh, okay. So right now, like, what do you prefer? Like, do you prefer long distance or do you prefer short distance?
Honestly, I could probably do both, just because I'm such a monogamous person that like if I found someone, and also like. And this is probably like, I don't know if it's a good trait or a bad trait, but like when I am with somebody, I'm fully with them. Like I don't really, that's just who I am though.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing I see for why dating is struggling right now is, the people are just like, they have these, like you said, number one, they have the standards, but I feel like, the more standards you have, you're just limiting your dating pool. All right, because there's a lot of good people out there, but like I said, not everything's perfect, but there's a lot of people there that may not have everything, but they're just they might have a lot of your list, but this that one thing that you have on your list, like height, or for men, it's like body size. Because we put so much emphasis on it because of culture, because of the
Mhm.
society we live in. I realized today, like relationships, honestly, like relationship is just, uh, you know, people that are really like sincere, they care about you. If you can find somebody that really, really cares about you, appreciates you, then and they really see you for who you are, like you said, then
Yeah.
then one thing I do realize if you meet those people, they can learn all the other qualities because of how much they love you.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like my problem has been that like I find those people, but they're not available. Does that make sense? And so like nothing ever
Oh,
happens. So yeah,
okay, yeah,
like nothing ever happens like physically between us or like whatever. But like when I when we get each other, they're just not available. So it's just kind of also been like a hiccup, I guess you could say, in my dating life. So I don't really have advice to
no,
anybody that has that same problem. Um, but I've just had to deal with being in the friend zone and being okay with that. Which is why I guess I could say I'm very comfortable in the friend zone, is because I've had to be that person and I can switch it on and off pretty well.
yeah,
Like if I was to be, and I think that's enough. I think, and I feel like that I could say this from most Pacifica women, it is very hard for us to be vulnerable. Like we can be like, I'm an open book and I will tell you everything. Um, but it's going to come off very strong. There's going to be, um, I'm vulnerable with like my family and my close friends, but with most people, like I've learned that about myself. So
yeah,
I've said before that if a Pacifica woman like brings down her walls, like that's a huge thing.
yeah. I love how you said like uh, most of the guys that fit that criteria, like they're not available, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I if anybody is watching this, I recommend um, to know this information earlier because usually the good men and women that have these qualities, like just do I love it for you, most of them get snatched up really,
Oh
really
yeah.
early. So by the time, but unfortunately for a lot of us, we don't learn that until we get older. We have this, I can't date this and this, and then we just get older, then we realize, oh wait, you know what? I don't really need to have this. I can change of who I want to date. But then the tough thing about that is all the guys were like that already married or in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and the guys and there's a very few guys out there that still have that. But majority of the guys that the majority of the guys and the women that as you get older, they either they've been hurt before, or they had some tough experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So now those walls are just up there,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then now you feel like you have to really really compete, and really really feel like you have to really have to
Yeah.
compete for those type of people, and then yeah, so that's why I always recommend to people like the early you can just meet people and just go off whatever they give you. Um, yeah, then yeah, because I've seen it happen to everybody. That's like yeah, especially with women. You guys are as you get older, dating.
Oh yeah. I mean, because like I just like what happened with me was like I was like me and my best guy friends would hang out all the time, but then they would turn around and get girlfriends and it just would kind of suck just because like those were the people that I was able to be vulnerable with. But then like when they get girlfriends, I can't be that way because girlfriends get mad and it's not your fault that you were friends with them before they came along. But yeah, I think it's difficult now, especially because I'm 28.
Yeah.
And so like my dating range is a bunch of guys who have either been hurt over and over and
Yep.
don't know
Yep.
how to deal with it,
Yep.
or they've been divorced, or there is a like rare gems that haven't been in relationships or have had to deal with tough things but have emotionally evolved. um so yeah, I mean it is getting more difficult. I've noticed like as I get older it's getting more difficult, but when I was younger, like I said, I was focused on my career and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
education. I mean the men in my life at the time, yeah, they were all looking for women, but I was still just their friend. Like they saw me as a friend, and I don't know. Now I'm like more focused on like uplifting the Pacifica community, which is why I say like I need a guy who understands that. I need him to understand that some nights I'm going to be dedicated to, like, if he could just set up a time where like all we do is read that night or something like that, you know, that's what I need, because I'm going to be focused on my blog or doing podcasts like this or collaborating with people overseas. So like I have a full-time job, and then I also have my blog that I am excited about. So
Would
that's
you date
mainly what
younger?
I do.
Would you
Huh?
date younger? Would you date younger?
Yeah, I did younger. My age range is 24 to 37. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Why 37? Is that a lucky number?
Well, I think just because it's like almost 10 years older than me. So I feel like,
Got you. 10 years. Yeah, no, yeah, there's like that. And
yeah.
24. So 24 to 37.
Yeah, because 24, you already graduated from college. You've probably already done your first year of a career, so you're kind of on the path. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I know. That's for everybody out there. That's one thing I would show everybody that's watching. Like just when you know the difference between the what you really want and then what society wants.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So and just people good people, but yeah, that's one thing I wish I feel like when it comes to dating, there's something like we don't really there's not like a manual,
Oh God, I wish there was. I wish there was.
Right.
I sometimes wish there was like, this sounds so dumb, but like I guess you could say like a device. Like have you ever seen Black Mirror?
No.
Okay, it's a TV show on Netflix. It's very much like technological based, like what if technology did this? And there's a episode on there where like you're put through like a simulation just to see like how compatible you are with somebody. And it's a very interesting episode just because it's just like it's kind of like today's world, but your avatar goes through all the motions with you, and then you can meet up with your potential. So like you don't have to go through all the emotional crap, and you already know like whether or not somebody's more compatible. And spoiler alert, like they go through this simulation and they're like all dressed up nicely, da 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 da. But when they come out of the simulation in the real world, they look slightly different. Like they have like either more tattoos or they just don't look like their avatar in the simulation.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I want to check that out.
It's a really good episode. But yeah.
Hey, I do want to ask you, like, because I know like you have like big dreams and things you want to do for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you feel like guys get intimidated by that? That you rarely?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like this has been proved, or at least unofficially, me and my sister have done this. But like, I hide the fact that I'm a marketing manager sometimes on dating apps, and I also hide the fact that I have an MBA.
Yeah, from a lot of the guys that you meet.
Yeah, just because like especially a lot of guys I've encountered, like when I was in college, I would ask my guy friends, I would say, why is it that guys don't want to date me, or why do you think it is that I'm single? And they're like, well, you're intimidating, or and then I've had the guy tell me like, oh, you're on a pedestal, Aynsley, like you are kind of untouchable. And I was just like, what the hell does that mean? Like you guys can like, I mean, I'm not like perfect or anything. And it wasn't that they were saying I was perfect, but it was just like, I lived my life to where like I wasn't going to mess up. Obviously now I've made a ton of mistakes, but back in college, I was like, I did all the youth group activities. I was playing sports. I was getting good grades. Like I was intimidating. And even today, like I get told that. They're like, I get told by my own friends, they're like, Aynsley, you're just very intimidating. So whatever.
Do you want to I have my own personal theory being a man. Do you know why men are intimidated?
No, because to me, I'm just like, wouldn't you want your equal? But then again, I mean, I guess I could go back to like the old thinking of like, like the old school thinking of like the man needs to be the man and the woman needs to be the woman.
Yeah,
that's my theory, but
yeah, this is because I've told this to a lot of, because I have a lot of friends, girls that are entrepreneurs, and they're trying to do their thing, they're trying to make it happen for themselves, and they're very independent, they're very vocal, very mentally, emotionally strong. So, but they struggle to like attract dudes, and even if they do attract dudes, most of them run because they're very intimidated, right? Yeah. And this is one thing I always share with them, and whenever a guy ever looks at a girl, right, and I've always like I think I read this in a book, but like our love language, like our natural attraction is from male and female. So for a man, like we always want to, the way we show our love to a woman is like through like protection. Like we want to protect that. We want to protect you.
Yeah.
We're going to provide for you. And, of course we profess our love for you. So protecting is how we show our love to women. Right. So whenever guys look at women, and I honestly believe this, like, because based on my experience and conversations with other men, like what you do, like is really irrelevant. Like as far as your career or whatever you have, like men will just date any type of woman regardless of what they have. But whenever they look at your life, they always have to see, okay, how do they fit into that picture?
Yeah.
So how are they able to provide for you? How are they able to, protect you? And then that's one of the challenges when they see very strong, independent women. For them, like they just can't see themselves how they're going to provide for you, because you provide for yourself. How they're going to protect you when you're already strong mentally and emotionally, and you don't need protection. And that's why for a lot of guys, like that's why I always tell, like that's why for a lot of guys when they see strong, independent women, that's what they see. It's like, okay, how could I be a man to this strong and successful woman?
Plenty of ways.
No, so and then my friends, female friends, like ask me like, so what do I do? So I was like, just you have to understand like what you like. It's like perception, like is image, right? What you put out there is the perception is what people believe, right? Perception is reality. So what I'm saying is like you have to put out the reality that a man can protect you. You have to put out the reality that a man can provide for you.
But how does one do that? Like I'm 28 and I have my set ways and my set branding.
I know.
And I get it, because I've been told, I've read things where they're like, find a way, like even 1950s dating books tell women to literally find ways to where a man can protect you. But like,
yeah. Like this is one thing I do. Like women, one thing I know women and really want from a man is like is the men, women, you guys prefer men that are very mad, like don't be afraid. They're very confident men and they're not afraid. You guys, confidence is a big thing for you guys, right? Confidence,
right?
Like, you don't want me to be weak and then not fight for you. Somebody harasses you. If I don't fight for you, that's gonna push you away from me, right? Like I have to. Of course, confidence comes some, but I have to show some level of confidence to you that no matter, I want you, and also I'm gonna do my job to protect you as a man, right? That's important for you guys. So I can be like a very unconfident man, but also like for me, like I understand like when I approach women, because I know that's what you guys want, even though maybe I may not be maybe say if I'm an introvert, like I don't like to talk, I don't like to approach people, but I do want somebody. So like I have to, so because I know that I have to make those changes, like, okay, this is what women want. Then I have to work on being confident and put that perception out there for women to see. And then when women see that as a man, I'm confident, then I'll get that energy and then availability for them to be able to date them. But if I don't do the things, if I don't put that perception out there that I'm a confident man, even though maybe a lot of men out there have a lot of anxiety, a lot of men out there that afraid to talk to women, a lot of men out there. I understand that, but you have to understand this is what women want, this is what men want, and we have to make those adjustments. So I can't go out there and tell women, hey, I'm not, I'm not a confident guy. I don't like to do this. They're not, oh, you know what? My chances of finding a woman is very slim. So there's sometimes to say, it's like, you just have to I'm not saying to change who you are. I'm just saying just put that perception out there, because honestly, every conversation I'm having with men, but it doesn't matter what class they are, if they are in whatever career path they are, that's always the conversation that we have. Is like, whenever we look at women, we just want to be a man that can be a man in their life. And the women that we see that we can be a man the easiest, those are the women that we're naturally attracted to. And then the women we see that it's just really, really tough to be that provider, to protect them, be that man for their life. Those are the women that kind of push us away from them. So, because you see it, because I've seen it so many times, all these successful, beautiful women, like celebrities, but then they struggle to attract.
Yeah, but you can see it on the flip side too, where you see powerful women with there's this woman in New Zealand, and I don't remember her name. She was the first person I quoted on my blog page, but one thing that her grandkids talked about, because I watched this documentary about her, because she was a woman who revitalized the Maori language in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
And so she was the pioneer to do that, made all these teachings. And what they said was that her and her husband, he was there supporting her. He was her rock, know? So it's not yeah, we have these careers, we're independent, we are doing the thing, but at the end of the day, there are going to be days where I would like to have a shoulder to lean on, would like to come home, and so it's just I may not need you to go beat up that guy, but I do need you to come just sit with me for a bit.
No, all I'm saying is to initiate that attraction.
Yeah.
You have to put out that the energy and the perception out there that you are a woman that can be protected and can be provided for. For men to look at you, okay, she's doing big things, she's having a big career, but the way she talks, the way she portrays herself, I can still see a way for myself in a way that I can be a man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some women are just too strong, right? Yeah. Just too strong, and then for them to where do I fit? They don't see any kind of vulnerability for them to come in and be that man. So I'm just saying is I'm not just make sure to have that awareness to realize the way you portray yourself. Because sometimes I see a lot of girls. Sometimes I see a lot of girls like this. So okay, they'll struggle. I can't attract a man, but then I look at their social media profile. If you see their pictures, it's all about I'm good by myself and this and this and this and this. And I'm look at the energy of what you're projecting out there. You guys understand what you're projecting to other people. You may not be aware of what you're doing. So I'm just saying that's all I'm saying to all the women out there that be entrepreneurs. I'm not saying to change who you are, but just be aware of how the energy of the perception of what you're giving men. Because if your body language is always just, or the way you talk is always this and this and this, there's no conversation where there's no time where you're you're open and be a little bit vulnerable for men to see, even though you are a strong woman, but she has more vulnerable moments. Oh, okay, I can work with that.
Yeah, I think for some women though, it is harder to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think they need to know that they have the safety to do so. So maybe maybe I'm not going to always show it, but if you stick around, I think that's probably the big thing, especially in today's society. I think it's just just stick around, just stick it out. And I'll be there. I just because
I don't think, but that's the thing. In today's age, where everything's so quick. Sticking, you won't find a lot of guys that are gonna stick around to find out.
Well, you won't find a lot of girls that are gonna stick around too either. So.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You have to be able to apply that energy as a casual way of life and start working in that. Because you know how guys are how men and women are is like our attention span is like so small, and of course sometimes when you meet people, you might have one opportunity to meet somebody, and that's you have only one chance at a first impression, and maybe that's a guy that has all the characters of everything on your list, and then he just happened to see you, and then you're just like, wow.
I mean, to be real, I have a lot of movements.
That's what I'm saying. He's like,
but
that's the one chance he saw you. There's the one chance he got to see you.
Yeah, but it's also like so for me, because like on the flip side, women want a guy who's also emotionally available or going to open up. How many men actually open up? Like how many men actually want to talk about their feelings?
Men would open up for the right woman. I know that for a fact.
So women will open up for the right man. Women will be vulnerable for the right man.
I know, but you have to give us that door. You control the access. You control the access.
Y'all can break down the door if you wanted to.
We're not going to break down. We're not going to bring it to move on to the next door. That's what I'm saying is
you guys has all the qualities on that list.
But we can't see those qualities. We can't even get into the door.
That's
why you guys control access. I'm just saying is you have to portray that perception that door is open, and because men, like, we're not going to approach something that we don't feel like we have no chance.
I get that too, because I do that
because we have to initiate it. Typically most men we have to initiate everything.
Yeah.
Right. So just I'm saying is for all those strong ladies out there, ladies like men are most intimidating. Like you have to, number one, be more vulnerable to open that door and give out that energy perception that you are emotionally available and willing to let a man come into your life.
So let me ask this real quick. This is kind of changing the subject, but is it attractive or is it more attractive or less attractive if a woman presents her feelings first?
Is it how? What do you mean? Like how was she presented?
Or should I say how likely is she to get the guy if she was the one to be like, hey, I'm interested in you?
If she says honestly for the old, this is my experience, for the older men, that'd be cool.
Right.
But for a guy that's mature, for me, like at this point, I like straight to business. Like let's like transparency. Let's get this shit going.
Right.
Maybe for a 21-year-old that doesn't he's like maybe that's not the right the man. So for me, if you want to be open, I prefer guys who have the older have more maturity. But for the guys that lack maturity and doesn't even know his own feelings, you may not want to be open to him. But mature guys, older guys, I think that's a good move. Because when you're older, you just don't have to. We've been to the game before. We don't have time to play around. So it's really, it's really interesting to know. Okay, she is interested. All right, cool. Now lets me know, and then he can. And then if you have the same interest, he's all in.
Yeah, no, it's just very interesting. Just dating as a whole.
Just like that. What's that app? Bumblebee?
Bumble.
Was it Bumble? Bumble, yeah,
Bumble.
Yeah, that's why it's a very popular app because women are taking the initiative, and like I said, for the men that's mature, they love that. Like they've gone to the game.
I'll speak from experience. It's not fun.
But I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna find number one. But I do know for a fact for older guys, they do appreciate a girl that already just lets them know, okay, I'm interested. Oh, cool. Because I don't have to try. I don't have to the fear of rejection is over now. Okay, I don't have to worry get rejected. I'm good. But that's just that's something I do here. I just want to put out there, I do have a lot of women that is successful or they're having great aspirations and beautiful as well, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, but they just gotta bring that wall down.
I will admit, it's hard though. When you've been it's just like the guys that have been wronged by the girls multiple times. When you're a strong, independent woman and you've been rejected a few times, your ego gets hit a lot. And so as a strong woman who who has had to like especially those who have had to go through like the man's world to get where she's at, and to then be vulnerable different times and then to get hurt. Like, walls are being put up to protect yourself, you know? And so like it's very difficult because your pride gets hurt, and you don't want to go through like I've never been in a full-blown relationship, so I've never experienced like full-on heartbreak,
Mhm.
but I have had my heart like broken, and that's not fun. And that, as a strong woman, just really hits you hard sometimes, where you're just like, I love, but like, man, do I want to go through that again on the off chance that it doesn't work out? I mean, this past 2 months ago, how many? I don't know, like in November maybe
Mhm.
or January, I did shoot my shot at one point,
Mhm.
and I got the like, I appreciate it. Let's just stay friends. And then like the friendship just dwindles. And I think that's my biggest pet peeve is like when I'm told let's just stay friends and then they don't stay friends. Like,
Yeah.
stay friends. Like, I'm a grown ass woman. I'm able to like keep my feelings in check, and I'm gonna move on from you. Like, if you don't want me. So it's just like, I think for me it's just more out of frustration. And
Well,
so
well,
I
I feel like,
have to.
well, I feel like a lot of times when you shoot your shot, and did that guy did he already have a partner?
So he had just got this was such a dumb move on my part though, I know. But he had just gotten out of a relationship, out of an 8-year relationship.
Yeah.
Like, probably if you I didn't get the true timeline.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess he's enjoying the single life right now.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Um,
Got you.
which is fine. He is younger than I am, so I totally get it. But I was just like, he already has all the because he's kind of well known on social media. So I was like,
Mhm.
before he gets all these other ladies flowing in his DMs, I'll just shoot my shot just to let it be known, because we are friends, you know, like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do talk here and there. And so I was like, I'll let him know. And then he was just like, I appreciate it, but I just got a relationship, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. What I'm just saying is, it's. I mean, it was. I didn't say it was easy.
I mean, it was you like know that like when we send stuff to a guy, we are literally texting our girls being like, does this sound okay? Like, do I sound all right? Is this
Yeah.
gonna be, you know, like we're
Yeah.
taking screenshots, we got the receipts, we got everything.
I know. I know you. I know you mentioned like emotional walls. You put those walls up because Of course, I understand you don't want to get hurt, but that's just like the nature of the game. Like to
Yeah.
attract love, you have to give love. Like you have to open yourself up, and then that's
Oh,
just life.
giving love's not hard. It's just
You have
letting
to.
it in.
No, no. Oh yeah, you have to let somebody else be able to come
Yeah.
in, right? And that's the hardest part. But I think you said about walls. I think one of my favorite quotes is like, the same walls we use to protect ourselves from love can also protect you from. Oh no, to protect you from sadness can also protect you from happiness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that's something I just advise. Like I said, as long as you're like, I feel like the more chances you give men, and the more that's one thing I always, because I do know sometimes like strong independent women, they have they're usually super selective.
Well, because we don't, I don't know if you heard about this, but like men are more likely to date up and women are more likely to date down.
I think that's the opposite. I think that's the
No, it's
opposite.
like there's literally been things where like men will date out of their league and get the woman, whereas women will have to date under their league to get a guy.
Men will date out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
And
I think it's because we're more willing to take that risk, and like more guys are more willing to take that risk.
yeah.
What I'm
And
saying is
so
like I've always seen successful men date down, but I've never seen, for me personally, I've never seen a very successful woman date down.
yeah,
Like
she'll
I,
either date equal or none at all.
yeah, like I've seen millionaires go to like the local Starbucks and marry a girl from Starbucks,
Yeah.
but I've never seen like a successful millionaire woman and then go to Starbucks and marry the guy at Starbucks.
Yeah, because we want to build that empire with somebody. We want to have that partnership,
Yeah,
Um, at least in my mind, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to have that person that we work together for each other's dreams, and it's easier for equal levels because we understand each other.
Yeah. But yeah, but like I'm telling you, like, like as long as you give a lot of men opportunity, but also like I said, like I know you're a very strong person, but like put out that energy and perception that a man could come in. So when men meet you, that's the first thing. Oh, okay, she's a cool person, very strong, very career oriented, and they have that. They can see that door, like we talked about access. Okay, there's access. Okay, I could take a shot. But I'm telling you, with the guys, that's the first thing. When we look at women, the first thing to do is like, okay, number one, like, can we be a man to that woman's life? And is there an option for us to go in there? And then usually the women that show the most amount of accessibility and women that we feel like that we can go and be a man in their life, those are the women that most men are really attracted to. So yeah, just that's all I can say. I know a lot of guys watching this, so yeah, you never know, they might like watch this and be like, hey, what's up, Aynsley? All right, I guess that was a good conversation. That was really cool. That was a good conversation.
It was.
I hope a lot of people got hope a lot of people watching this got something out of it. Yeah, I guess the last thing I want to ask you, Aynsley, is just we talked about success, and then I think the thing we can talk about is like pursuing our passion in life and how important that is nowadays. I know a lot of people want to be successful, but sometimes I guess the most common mistake a lot of people do is like they associate like success to monetary value. They think that money is what success is, and unfortunately, people go down that path and find out later that money isn't going to make them happy. So for you, why is it important for you to like chase your passion and not chase monetary, not chase money?
Well, money has never really. I mean, I say money has never brought me happiness, but that's probably not the case. But like, truly, money can't like fulfill my soul and my passion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at a job now that pays the best salary that I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
But I'm not happy. Like, I'm not happy there. I mean, if anybody that's there watching this, I love my job. But my passion is uplifting the Pacifica community through my blog, and that's what feeds my soul. And that's, when people write in saying, oh, I didn't know this about our history, thank you so much for sharing, that makes me feel happy and successful versus, more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, that's what do you like if I had to ask you, like, how do you, like, if somebody's trying to figure out their passion right now, how would somebody find their passion?
Oh, that's a good question. What is the one thing that when you're doing it that you don't feel like you're I guess dang it. I mean, well, your passion's going to take hard work, but is it hard work that you enjoy doing? I say, like, there's that saying, like, if you find a job that you enjoy doing, you never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that, where it's like with your passion, when you're doing it, do you feel wholly like yourself? Like, are you who you are? Like, because I did blogging, like I've done blogging for a bit now. I blogged about losing weight for my cousin's wedding. It was great. I mean, it was fine, but I didn't feel super passionate about it like I do with my Pacifica blog.
Okay.
So like understanding what you enjoy doing, and then just figuring out what you like, what feeds your soul is how I would say, like, what is something that interests you, and is that something that can literally propel you for a while, or for because we all have different passions, like I'm passionate about my Pacifica blog, but I'm also passionate about other things. So
what would like to be a determining factor to know which one? Because I do know when it comes to like figuring out your life, you have to figure out one thing. Like, that's one thing successful people always talk about, is like figure out one thing you're good at and you're passionate about, and focus all your energy into that. So like for you said you had a lot of passions. But how would you be
Yeah,
able to figure out which one is the one that you're going to put all your time and energy into and dedicate your life to?
it took a while, honestly. Like, I'm 28 now, finally doing it. But I knew as a kid I wanted to be a writer. I was actually wanting to be a journalist, but because of life, it just didn't pan out. So I went into business, doing marketing, because I loved like social media, and one avenue of that was doing marketing, and it was a creative part of business. So I knew I wanted to be creative. I knew I wanted to write. And then, it was just taking that journey of self-discovery, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Just figuring out what it is you truly want. And you're not going to figure it out in one weekend or one day. I don't think it literally is a journey. You just look at some of the best filmmakers out there. They found their passion, but they didn't know which movie. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking gibberish now. I don't know. You just find something that really fuels your soul is how I can say it, because like I literally took a journey to get to where I'm at to be doing my passion.
Yeah.
It wasn't like yesterday or last week. And it really was just me. Like, my passion right now is Pacifica history. Like, I'm looking into getting a degree in that. And I didn't know that like that was a thing when I was going to university, or else that's what I've gotten my degree in. And so you're not going to just know it right off the bat, and it might take a few years, but when you realize it, there's just something in your soul, I feel like I'm saying, like when someone says you found the one, you just know. But when you find your passion, you just know.
I feel like for me, like passion is like something you love doing, and you can do it for free for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And nobody will have to pay. and nobody will have to pay you.
Yeah, like that's exactly how I feel. Yeah, because like I can do what I do. I've been doing this for 3 years. 3 years? Yeah. 3, I think 3 years. 2 or 3 years, and I've not gotten paid at all. And I've been so happy. Like I just I just love it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the, I forgot who said it, but somebody said that. For me, that makes sense. If you can find something that you enjoy doing and nobody has to pay you to do it, you do it the best of your ability, then that's pretty much a sign that that's where you should go. You should go into, because, like you already said, it takes hard work. It takes a lot of ups and downs. But the thing is, when you love what you're doing, you could care less about failing, because you just enjoy like every moment of the process because you love it so much. All right. Nice. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
I think you clarified it. You knew what I was going for.
So, Aynsley, I just want to say, I think we've come to the end of our podcast. Really had some great conversations. I really enjoyed the podcast today. We had some great talk about your life, but also we had some great topics about happiness, particularly dating and love and finding the right person. So thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all that story with everybody. The one thing I always ask every guest at the end of the show, if you could just share some final words, some words of wisdom, and then we'll end off the show with that.
Yeah, sure. So one thing, this is a quote that has come up lots, and I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I should have looked this up beforehand, but my iPad was charging. But this is a quote I've read multiple times, going back on this subject of the term plastic. But this is just like a quote that I've read different times this month, actually, just because this topic has come up quite a bit, like in clubhouse rooms and other conversations I've had. And it's from the movie Vi. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's on Amazon Prime. But it's we sweat and cry salt water, so we know that the ocean is really in our blood, which is Teresia Tiawa. So anyways, that's like, if you're from the islands, you're an islander, no matter what percentage or anything like that, and you are enough. I feel like that's one thing that people say, like, am I enough? And I'm like, you are so enough, 100%. So Yeah. And good luck with dating out there, y'all. It's a hard.
Stay strong, y'all. Stay strong.